Howdy, y'all. We're live. It's RNA Music in the house with Ike from Flipside Music in Denver, Colorado. Welcome to episode number uno of the RNA Music podcast, as I was told to create one by Mrs. RNA because she's real smart.
She's a wise woman in regards to social media stuff.
She's smarter than I am in a lot of ways. I know a few things, but she knows a lot of things too. So we got some people in the chitty chat over here. We got Rhodey's Jam Cave, Terry Himes, Flipside Music. That would be you.
That's me. Right. I'm here too.
Yeah, we've been.
Rhodey, what's happening, Terry? Good to see you guys.
We've been talking about doing this for like a couple of years now. Like,
yeah, but the problem has been you. Canton, Texas, reaching the level of internet capabilities that can make such things happen.
We finally made it to like 2005 internet here in Canton, right? It is true. I'm going to blame it on the internet company because our internet has been crap, and I have like fiber optic cable now, like fiber internet.
You guys went from like nothing to having. Yeah, you basically went from having like one of them little scooters with the boxes on it to like a high-speed train.
I've got a fighter jet now. Yeah. We were literally like 10 megs down and 5 megs up forever. And now I'm 1 gig down and like 500 megs up.
Well, I remember when you guys came out and visited a few years ago, and you were like, you ran the speed test on my stuff here at the house.
In your house.
Like, what? You're like, what? This is incredible.
Your house has faster internet than my business does. Freaking Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, well, I'm in Denver Metro, so we got some stuff.
Well, we're here now, and I'm super excited to we talk all the time, like on the phone and texting and stuff. But as far as like doing a live stream, chitty chat, sharing the screen together, we've been talking about that for years, and it's here now. So for our channel, maybe I'll get to be on one of the Flipside ones if y'all do like a reasonable time.
Well, you're always teaching when we're going live.
I know.
So when we do the FAQ, well, the thing is that we do the FAQ. So some of the folks that are in here already watch us, like Jeff and JJ, Jams and Rhodey watch us. We usually go, we go live on Thursday at 4, which makes that what, 5 o'clock your time?
Right? Yes, 5 o'clock Texas time.
Yeah. So because I always get a text, dang it, Hack.
Bro.
Dang it, Hack.
Well, usually, like sometimes I'll have a student who didn't show up to their lesson, and like I'll turn around and check YouTube. I'm like, oh, Flipside's on live. Let me get on there. Oh, they just finished.
Yeah.
Son of a gun.
So hopefully in the future, though, we will be, now that we actually have internet, which is kind of funny that the new building, those that follow us understand our craziness with the building, the new building. Yes. Once we get moved in there, literally it's 2022 and we just got internet to this building. This building has been existing since 2006 there.
Yeah.
It was constructed back in, it hasn't had internet or phone to that building since then, which is, and we're still in Metro Denver. So right. I don't understand how that, but we finally got Comcast to get us the internet. So now we can actually do live streams without it breaking up and falling apart. So that being said, we'll do more of live stuff that you can come in and visit.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Well, we were talking about coming up for the grand opening when that happens.
Yeah.
And we were talking the other day about just coming up because Angela's like, we should go back to Denver. I'm like, we should, because we haven't had a vacation like probably since the last time we came to Denver. We never take vacations, and they're always work vacations. Like we went to Georgia to CMG and did a little factory tour with them. So it was like a family trip vacation, but it was work. So it wasn't really a vacation. we just traveled, and I was telling a student yesterday about going to NAM. He's like, "What's NAM?" I'm like, "Oh, it's this giant thing that I've been to several times. That is not really a vacation, other than me flying on an airplane to California to hang out with buddies. But that's technically not a vacation."
Well, it's one of the guys at the shop's like, "Man, I'd really love to go to the NAM show. I really want to go." And I'm like, "I get you tickets." He's like, "Are we going? Are we going? Are you guys going this year?" And I go, "Well, I don't know. It's been an interesting last couple of years, obviously."
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't know when the timing of that is going to happen, plus the building and all this other stuff. But just like you said, that's not a vacation. Like going to the NAM show, it seems like it's a vacation, but it's really not. But a lot of times it's being able to hang out. Let's go and grab a few beers with JJ's House of Jams comes out, Ben Coombs, and you're there. We got Robert Baker and like all the dudes that we kind of know. It's good to see all those people and say hello, but it's also ear fatigue for 3 days. Almost 100 decibels of wheedly, wheedly, ting, ting, ting.
That's probably why I have tinnitus now. It's freaking NAM.
After 3 days, I just want to sit in a room that's quiet and with nothing. Like the plane ride home is always awesome because it's just quiet.
Right. You got your sound isolated headphones on, like, oh, thank God. Yeah, and your feet hurt. It's a grind. I was telling one of my students about it, and he's like, "Oh, it sounds awesome." I'm like, well, it is awesome the first time. Yeah. The first time you go to NAM is super awesome.
It is.
The second time I was like, oh, it's just work.
I like this. The second time was fun too. See, the first time I went to NAM, I didn't know anybody.
Right.
Literally, I went by myself.
Yeah.
And I made a lot of mistakes because I rented a hotel room that was like 10 miles away. I rented a car, like it, and at the time I was just still selling online. Like I was nobody. I was just like, hey, this NAM thing, I should probably be part of it. And the first time I went, it was cool because there was so much gear and so much stuff. And I'm like, oh, there's Stevie Wonder. Hey, there's Dave Mustaine. Oh my God, look at this cool. Oh my God. The second year I went.
What year was your first year at NAM?
2013, maybe 2012, 2013.
Okay.
It might have been. But that was like, but then the next year, I met you. I met Robert Baker. I knew some of the other guys. So by that time, I actually made some friends, more friends in the industry. And I had a buddy of mine from high school that I went to high school with. And I was like, yeah, headed out to the NAM show. And he's like, F-Bomb Tommy, you met him.
Yeah.
So Tommy's like, hey, man, I'm going too. Let's get together. So, the second one was fun because there was more friends. And then, like you said, it is work, but it gets to the point where it's kind of like, well, now I'm just going to hang out with now I'm going to get some hot chicken with, we're going to chicken and waffles with friends.
Right.
So
we'll talk. There's a couple of questions that are going to pop up. One's already popped up that we'll answer. That I think is pretty interesting. We'll preface a little bit because I'm sure whoever's watching this right now in the live chat knows us, probably knows you. But on the replay, there might be people who are like, who are these guys? I titled it Opening a Guitar Store. Because I got a couple of videos. It's like how to open a guitar store, like years back, and they got a lot of views. And I've had people call me and email me like, "Hey, I watched your video on how to open a guitar store, and like I'm opening one now, or I opened one last year. I just want to say appreciate your insight and stuff." I'm like, oh, "Okay, great. Good luck."
Yeah,
good luck. Because I'm just like, I would never tell somebody.
Here's the final result.
Yeah. Man, I got way more gray.
Yeah.
Way more gray.
Yeah,
I think I have less hair.
Quickly.
I think I have less hair. Pretty sure, but maybe not. Definitely more gray. But
this is half of this is fake.
Yeah.
I can't bring myself to go full gray yet.
Oh man. It's I'm working on it. The full gray. Did we meet? I was thinking about this today because we've known each other since 2014 for sure. But did we meet at NAM 14? Did we meet at a booth that we will not name? Did we meet at that booth?
I think that was the first time we physically met.
Right.
We talked on the phone because remember when we both carried a brand that previously carried a brand that we will not mention.
Right. Did we talk on the phone before NAM?
Yeah. Because I think you called me.
Okay.
And was like, hey man, we're both dealers for this brand. Nice to meet you. And it was just like a cordial conversation, like, hey, if you ever need anything. And then we just started busting chops and talking shit. And it was like we were like instant friends on that one phone call. We became friends and shit.
Yeah.
We're friends all these years later. So
was that after NAMM 14 though, or was that previous?
No, it was prior.
See, I can't remember crap anymore.
Well, yeah. Welcome to that club, man. No, because I think you called me and we just chatted, and then from there we chatted. We chatted more, and I think we met at the NAMM show. Like, because I remember going, "Wow, you're a lot taller than I thought you were going to be."
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Baker was the same way. I remember I was expecting him to be a little guy.
Yeah, Baker is definitely taller than I thought.
Yeah, I thought he was just going to be a wee fella with long hair and go, "Oh, wow, you're one of those guys."
Yeah,
and, he ended up being way taller.
Yeah, I think we're like he might be a little bit taller than I am, but I'm like he just has way more hair.
Well, yeah, I could be taller too if I had hair.
Easily. I've got 10 feet of hair. Yeah, so we met in 2014 then, and become friends ever since that. So that's kind of our history. We met back then. We both carried. I mean, Ike's in Denver. I'm in Texas. Obviously, not really competing locally. And probably not even really, I don't know. This is a good question because this leads us into, we both carried a similar brand. We both carried a couple of the same brands and brands that we don't carry of each other. Mm-hmm. But I never really felt like it was a competition. You know what I mean? Like,
it was never like that. It was more like, hey, what do you do for this? Or how do you do that?
Yeah.
Or have you had any experience with this brand? Or have you had any experience with that? Because I got another friend of mine. I got a couple friends that own stores too. And I go, did you ever use this app? Have you ever heard of this thing?
Yeah.
What do you do in cases of this? So It was more like that. Like, what are you doing? How do you do that?
And I've got, we weren't trying to make $1 million selling stuff online at the time. And we'd already been in business and you'd already been doing stuff for a while too. We'd already been in business for like 4 or 5 years before I went to that NAMM. And I wasn't trying to become the next Sweetwater or the next anybody who's selling stuff online necessarily, but I didn't think about it as a competition thing. And even I've got some friends that are like 45 minutes away from me who've been in the business for forever that I absolutely love those guys. And I send people to them all the time for like repairs and setups and like all that stuff because they are hands down the best repair guys that I know of in Texas. And I have zero problems because I don't have time to do a bunch of repairs. And that's not my particular skill set. I teach, they do repairs. They also sell stuff. But he's helped me because we were both orange dealers. And then there's always, reps come and go and things happen. And we had an issue for like a year where they weren't going to let me sell oranges. And I called Kelly because he's been selling oranges for forever. And he's been in the business for like 40 years. I was like, hey, man, and I just sell the little practice things, man, the little crush ones, like for beginners and stuff. We're not selling rocker verbs and all that stuff. I told him, like, hey, Kelly, I can't, they're not going to let me sell oranges. He's like, what? Hold on. And he got on the phone and I called somebody way up the chain at Orange. I was like, hey, y'all going to let Ron sell oranges or not? What's the problem? And he got on them and they were like, oh, well, whatever. We weren't really overlapping territories, but we weren't that far away. But I mean, he pushes people to me. I push people to him. So I never really felt like that competition thing. But like the question I see over here says, Jay Dizzle for Rizzle says, why buy a guitar from you and why not Sweetwater? What's your thought about that?
Well, okay. So number one, we actually do go through the guitars. We do set them up before we ship them out. That's one thing that we do as a company. Every guitar that comes in our store, we go over it and we set it up before we put it out on the floor.
Yep.
If it's destined to be on the wall. We do have guitars that sit on shelves too because they're back stock. Right. And when we do sell guitars that go out, we go through the guitars. We check the electronics, we check the necks, we check the fret ends. We do a complete setup before they go out. Because we've gotten people that have emailed us back going, did you set this up? Because this thing plays awesome. We're like, yeah, that's what we do. We haven't really people that know us or who have bought stuff from us know that we do that. But the general populace doesn't. You know, a place like Sweetwater, they say they do that.
Yeah.
But I've also run across customers that have brought their guitars to us because we're a Fender repair station here in Denver. I'm not shitting on them, but what I'm saying is sometimes we've gotten stuff in that was a warranty issue or a repair issue that they got from them that we had to do a thing. And I'm like, man, I know you got a 179-point check system, but how did you miss the screw on a pick guard on a Strat? Right. How did that leave the shop? Now I know they do $300 gazillion a year in sales, but that's the thing. They do good work. Don't get me wrong. But smaller shops, I think there can be a little bit more attention to detail because you don't have the volume. Also, the guys you call at my shop actually work the shop. It's not a separate entity of guys that man phones that kind of are paid through what they generate.
Right.
You see what I mean? Like we're actually the dudes in the shop.
Yeah. And
you can have direct contact with myself or Dylan or Gordo or James or Goots or whoever. Like we're all there, and there's not a lot of changeover. So that's one of the reasons, you know, I've sent videos to people directly, you know, or put a small video on YouTube just because they wanted to check out a certain thing. So that's the reason. That's a reason for us, I think.
I just remembered I could add comments to the screen.
Oh yeah.
I like Jeffries. One reason to buy from them and not Sweetwater is Ike hasn't called me 20 times after I bought something asking me how I liked it.
I mean, Jeff, if you want me to call you, bro, I will. Because I will. I'll shoot the shit with you for a while, man. Ryan knows me well enough, man. I will chat, and if you give me a beer or so, we'll chat for a while. So
we go live in the house. Oh yeah. You know, I think that's an interesting question.
Blurrier and blurrier.
I don't know.
You see that on your end? Because on my end, it looks like I got glaucoma.
I see you. Yeah, your autofocus went out of focus. Your focus needs more focus.
What the heck is happening with this stupid thing?
It wasn't me. There you go.
All right. Well, there we go. Because I'm watching this thing get worse and worse, and I'm like, oh no, call Wilford Brimley. I got diabetes. I'm getting glaucoma.
You got a webcam, or what are you using?
Yeah, I got a Logitech.
That's what I got. I got a Logi.
And it's been fine. This is all of a sudden it's not working very well. So
did you buy that Logi from Sweetwater? Because I might be pissed.
I haven't bought anything. Okay, so I've bought from Sweetwater 3 times.
Yeah, in
my life. Every time I bought it, they took my money, and I had to wait at least a month to get the product.
Because
hey, sorry, man, we don't have it in stock. And I'm like, well, you don't have it in stock. Why'd you sell it? Why did you sell it to me if you don't have it? And now I'm waiting two weeks to a month to get the thing. So after that last time, I was like, I'm never ordering from them again, because that's the 3rd time in a row that they didn't have it. And so I just said, screw it, I'm never going to do it. Now,
I've heard that's
before I had a store, because now I just ask my friends.
Right.
You know, hey, Ryan, do you have this? You know, I got another friend, Jimmy. I'm like, hey, Jimmy, do you have this in stock? And I get it from, if I need something personally, I get it from somebody I know.
Yeah. Now, I try to do that too. Like, I've bought a fair amount of stuff from Sweetwater over the years. Number one, I have a credit card with them.
Yeah.
Which is my downfall, because they're like 18-month no interest. Yes. But I tell people, like, if I don't know, like, if I know that you have it, and like my friend Kelly, who's like 5 minutes away, I'll get it from him. There's a place in Tyler, Texas called Munt, MUNDT Music.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a guitar for Angela from them because she wanted a Yamaha, because I had a buddy who had a Yamaha, and like we were in between guitar acoustic companies that I wanted to do, but they gave me a sweet deal because they're like, oh, you're in Canton? I'm like, yeah, we have a music store and a lesson studio in Canton. They're like, oh, really? That's awesome. Like, they were super cool. And they're like, well, let us know if you need something. We'll hook you up. And I'm like, okay. So they gave us a sweet deal on Angela's Yamaha just because we have a store and we're in the business. So I tried.
There's professional courtesy.
Right.
You know, we've done that before. I've had music stores call up and say, hey, man, do you guys have this? It's happened with pedals more often than guitars. Man, we got a customer. Do you guys have this? Yeah, I got it. Would you guys be able to help us out? Yeah, sure. So sometimes it's just a professional courtesy to help us another store out. But we do the same thing like you were saying earlier. You know, we got guys in town that sell higher end acoustics, which we don't. I mean, we carry Yamaha, we carry Alvarez, Takamine. So
I didn't know you had Yamaha.
Oh yeah, we picked them up last year. So
well, we got hers before that, so now I don't feel guilty.
No, you're good. But like,
I would 100% got it from you.
Well, I know that, man. I know that.
You're like, I know what's up, but the internet may not know that, and they need to know that.
Yeah. So, but if somebody's looking for a Taylor or a Martin or a Collings or something like that, we send them to Denver Folklore Center because those are guys that we know and they're always been friendly to us. But they send a lot of people to us when they're looking for electrics. Like they got people coming in going, hey, do you have any American, professional Telecasters? And they go, no, but talk to the guys at Flipside. They'll
I bet Ike has a Telecaster. Yes. You got tellies at Flipside Music in Denver, Colorado, the Great American Guitar Store?
There might be some here, maybe possibly in that area. There might be some right here. There's you don't have any, do you?
I have one.
All right, well, that's a start.
I showed it. I sent you pictures when I got it. Or did I not?
Well, I didn't know if you still had it.
Maybe I
did since.
Maybe I was afraid to send it to you because it's like I bought a telly, and you're like, I got tellies, Brian. I do still have it. I do still have it.
But sometimes it's funny because we gotta have customers sometimes that come in and they're like, yeah, I got this telly, and I'm like, and they go, man, it was a great deal. It was used. I'm like, I know. Sometimes things fall in your lap and you got to take advantage of it. I get that.
Yeah.
I buy stuff that I don't need to buy. Right. But it falls in my lap and I can't help myself. Like I bought this recently. This is my most recent.
Oh, nice.
And it's an old Hamer. It's an old Hamer 335, but it was built in Korea. And these are killer guitars.
Yeah.
And you don't see them come up very often. And it was on reverb. And it's
like mid 2000s.
Perusing. It's a 90s.
A 90s. All right.
Yeah. This is when they built them in, I think they built them at World.
All right.
And these are Duncan design pickups. And you're like, Duncan design, that should go.
Right. No, they're good.
On this, it sounds so good. And you don't see them very often. And when you do, they're about like $900. And this one popped up for like under 500. And I was like, well, yeah.
Gonna get it.
Why? So, it happens. So sometimes deals just happen and you got to take them. So I get it.
I think the last guitar, the last guitar I bought, I think is this PRS Tremonti custom.
Snazzy.
Fat bodied from my buddies out at that place in Hawkins I was telling you about. That's 40 minutes away. I was there looking at because they sell PRSs, and I've kind of been wanting a schwanky one. I have an S2. That's nice. It's the S2 is nice, but
yeah, S2s are nice.
That was my 40th birthday present, and back then they were like $1,500, and now they're like $1,800-$1,900. So I'm like, bro. But I still want a core, like a true, core model PRS. And my buddies over there have them. And I thought if I trade in enough crap, maybe I could actually get a core. I didn't have enough crap to make the trade worth.
Yeah, those are big dollars too, man. Those cost a few bucks.
Yeah. But while I was there walking out, I saw that Tremonti, which was used in the, and it does have the PRS script logo on it, but it is an SE. But it was also made in Korea, which I kind of prefer. I've got a soft spot for Korea over Indonesia. But
I don't know, man.
But the Indonesian stuff's really good.
This is my #1 telly I play all the time.
Really?
And I just played a show with it a couple weeks ago. And that's GNL. Yeah, this is a GNL. We got GNL USAs.
Yeah.
This is a GNL tribute with, that's the Wolf. That's
nice.
Gary Garcia. That's for my buddy. I got a buddy that passed away a few years ago, and he was a big Deadhead. And so I put that on this guitar, and everybody's like, "Oh man, you must love the Grateful Dead." And I go, "No, my buddy Steve loved the Grateful Dead, and he was a big music fan. So every time I get to play a show, I got my boy Steve with me. That's why I put this sticker. But this is the Indonesian built tribute. Yeah. I upgraded the bridge, and other than that, this thing's stock. And I play this because it's never failed me.
Right.
It has never failed me at a show. So I play. So just a little plug for like GNL.
Yeah. Stuff. Well, that's good to know, because I mean, for the longest time, well, I'm thinking back like mid 2000s, like 05. I got not a bunch, but I have several Washburns from like 05, 06, 07 coming out of World in Korea, and like they're friggin' amazing.
Oh yeah, they make great stuff.
And even going into, I mean, even now, but of course now the Korean stuff is like the new Japan. And Indonesia is like the new Korea, quality wise. So the Korean stuff is getting pretty pricey. Schecter still makes stuff in Korea, and I'm looking at some of it. I'm like, this is like an $1,800 Korean guitar, which is, it is what it is. But the mindset, I'm thinking like that should be more budget, but I'm still living 10 years in the past.
Yeah. The thing is that stuff has changed, man. And it depends on the it does depend on the factory it's coming out of. If it's coming out of World, I mean, you kind of know what you're getting.
Yeah.
Like the Reverends are built in Korea, but they're built in a smaller. They're built in a smaller warehouse, smaller manufacturer.
Yeah.
Than World. It's called MIRR, but they're the same company that builds like the Duesenberg stuff. And I don't know if you've ever played or seen the Duesenberg stuff. Pretty nice guitars. So.
Well, just like everything else, it all comes down to the management, right? If you have a factory and that the management direction and team is like on it, that factory can be great. And you have another factory two miles down the road that is crap.
Yeah, well, it's QC. It comes down to QC. Quality control, man. If you have guys that are on top of their shit, you're gonna have a really nice guitar. And you also have to think that the contractor or the contractor, whoever is commissioning the build, needs to be on top of their stuff too. So they have to hold those people accountable. We've run into situations before where there wasn't really somebody on top of that part of the
yeah.
So when you see companies like maybe like Schecter, they're kind of on it. So they don't let somebody just oh yeah, send me the stuff, put it in a box, and we'll work on it from there.
Yeah,
they check it out, make sure it's right before they send it out to the end user. Like Reverend does an incredibly awesome job. We get the stuff in the shop, and we almost don't have to do anything to it.
Yeah,
like Yamaha is very much like that too. We get a lot of Yamaha. The RevStar stuff is killer.
Yeah.
That stuff comes in and it's almost ready to go right out of the box. It's kind of amazing. We still go through it,
right? Of course.
But 9 out of 10 times they're in really good shape. Maybe a minor adjustment, a little bit of an intonation issue because of humidity or weather or whatever. But
yeah, you gotta check everything. But yeah, I mean there are brands that have a better filter. Like that's one thing I like about Schecter. Like have I ever gotten one? I'm trying to think if I've ever gotten a Schecter here that had an issue that I had to send back. I think maybe one time in 13 years did I ever get one that was like, there was the neck maybe it was a little rough, like they missed a spot on sanding or something. I mean, it was easy to sort out, but and maybe one Washburn that I got, like the electronics was dead on it. And it was like, a sub $300 guitar. And I called and they're like, oh, no problem. We'll send you a new one. Bloop. Easy peasy.
Well, that's another thing when you got a company that you can just, Fender is like that for us. It's we got any problems, send it back. And we've had a number of things come from Fender that have been not right.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they're cranking out an amazing amount of gear, but still, classic vibe Squire stuff comes in really, really well done. Even the inexpensive stuff. Every once in a while, some of it could be shipping,
right?
But yeah, there's something that was like, this might have been a Friday afternoon guitar.
Yeah,
so
I've had those come in from someone that was like, "How did you miss the screw on the truss rod cover?
Mm-hmm.
How did you not notice that screw wasn't there, or something?" But
well, that was one of the things. Like when I had that Sweetwater deal, we did a warranty, and it comes in. I'm like, "How'd you guys miss? Number one, how did it get from the factory to Sweetwater without a screw, and then leave Sweetwater to the customer without the screw? Like, how did that happen? Like there should have been at least 2 or 3 checks in there."
Yeah,
I understand things do happen. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but it was just one of those deals. Like, how did nobody see that this screw was missing on the pick guard on a Strat?
Right. How'd you miss that? We've had a company. I don't want to say anything about companies I've ever had an issue with, but that I like. Because honest people get the wrong idea. Like, oh, you're saying it has problems. Like, everything has problems.
Yeah, there's no company that's 100%.
Nothing's
100%.
Nobody's perfect like that. Yeah, I said something today about like, hey, Jesus is not building these guitars. He has retired from carpentry. Jesus didn't make that guitar. So it's possible it could have an issue, right? Now, the thing is, I've had a company that anytime I've ever had something come in, I call them, like, send it back, to take care of it. I'm like, awesome. I'm not mad that there was an issue because they took care of it for me. Like, we'll take care of it. I'm like, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. Right. How do you handle the aftercare of the mix-up?
And that works the same way with retail, like with what we do. I mean, we're always on top of it. You know what I mean? If we got a problem with a shipment or anything, we're on it. And it's funny because I'll call customers if there's a problem, and they're like, "Wait, what? I appreciate you calling." I'm like, "Well, why? If it's something I can handle easy through an email, sure. But if it's more complicated than that, I get on the phone and talk to people, and they're like kind of amazed that I called. And I'm like, this is customer service. We're not intentionally trying to do anything wrong. Something went wrong because things do, but we're going to do whatever we got to do to make it right." So
we'll do some shout outs real quick. Metalhead Hippie in the house. We were just talking about you, Metalhead, before this, because, I was talking to one of my students about streaming because I did a stream last night, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, you can just stream from your phone." I'm like, I know, but the quality isn't the way I want it to on my phone. So I think it was Metalhead Hippie who suggested StreamYard. Maybe someone else, because a lot of people use StreamYard, and I've been playing with it, and it works great. So Metalhead, Roadie's Jam Cave, my friend Ken Sims, who's in Canton, Texas. Ken likes tellies. Metalhead said, "Give a kid a pack of strings." I will do that. I'll make sure it's a kid and not an adult, though.
Yeah.
Because I got some. Yeah, adults can buy stuff. Generally.
Metalhead Hippie's a good guy, man.
For sure.
He does a lot of people. I love the show he does and kind of showcasing everybody's talents and he's giving away a lot of our t-shirts and stuff like that. And so he does he's got a big heart, man.
Yeah, he's anytime I don't always get to catch people's live stream stuff just because I'm sure, like you.
Yeah, it's been dwindling. The time frame that I have for shit is getting smaller and smaller, unfortunately.
Yeah, I just happened I'll be up here late working one time. I'm like, oh, Metalhead's live. Let me go check on it. And so I got to actually watch it and heard some cool music. And then I think I sent one of the songs that me and the Bitter Bass Man did, and he played. It was neat. I like what he does. He's showcasing people who don't necessarily have a voice or it's hard to get on radio. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. But people have radio internet shows that you can showcase music from everyday people. So that was pretty neat.
Well, everybody's doing it. I mean, stuff happens in here. We make noise, it just don't always do our EPs, you know what I mean?
Right. I got to finish some songs of my own, but
Me too. I got a couple, you got a scrap of paper here, and I got a little scrap of paper here with a couple words on it, and just trying to put things together. And my biggest problem is some of the interface stuff. I just really need to sit down and get way better at recording. I just picked up a Rev D20.
Oh, really?
So, oh man,
that's the clean one, right?
Yeah, we got them at the shop, and I played them at the shop, and I'm like, these are nice. Really
that's right.
Good sounding amps. And I brought this home, and I plugged it in, and I was like, holy crap, it's so good. It's so good. And then
I forgot you sell Rev stuff.
Yeah. Well, I just talked to Derek the other day too.
I've been eyeballing some Rev stuff. Don't tell Angela. And I was like, where can I get this? And I know a guy.
You do know
the G20 is the small one that's a little bit more high gainy.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the reason I got the D20, now the G20 sounds killer. If you're doing heavier stuff, it sounds great. The reason I got the D20 was, I like to play my blues.
Yep.
So I like a nice clean, but that does drive. There's like a boost in it with a push pull, and it drives, and it has this really nice creamy overdrive. But I got some really killer pedals that also do that too, and that's where I want to shape.
Yeah.
That's where I want to shape the tone is with the pedals. But that can do a nice clean, so I can kind of do the nice switch in between. Plus, I don't know. My rig is getting smaller and smaller. Like these, that's a 77. How does this work? Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Like depth perception. That's a 77 Vibrolux, and it sounds awesome. This right here is just a blues. It's been a modified blues deluxe, and it's great. But it's 40 watts.
Right.
So I played a show with this in this little club up in the mountains, and the sound guy's like, turn it down. You gotta turn it down. I'm like, you're making me turn all the goodness off of it. It needs to be right here to sound good. And so I've been just kind of finding stuff that I can go smaller. So I've been using this a lot. I don't know if you can see. Oh, it's behind that.
It's black.
I got a Pro Junior. I just been using a Pro Junior. Great little amp, and I'm pushing the rest through pedals, and
does the job.
It does the job. And I'm not playing high gain stuff. If I was going to do that, if I was playing more high gain, I'd probably use this with higher gain pedals like a G3 or a G4.
Right.
From Rev.
Yeah. I forgot about that because I like the Rev guys. We were hanging out with them at the Dallas Guitar Show, and I like Derek. They're all super nice guys. And I was talking
jersey. You didn't get a jersey.
No,
oh, that's right. You don't sell it.
I'm not a dealer.
So being a dealer, they sent us jerseys last year.
Oh wow!
So I got a Rev hockey jersey that says Ike on the back.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And they sent me maple syrup. The last time they came in, they gave me 2 jugs of maple syrup.
That's very Canadian. I love it.
It's very. So we have a decent amount of Canadian friends. My friends over at Texas Toast Guitars, which are just up the street from me. One of their friends is from Ontario, and he's been here a couple times, and he brought me a jug of boutique syrup, maple syrup, and it's awesome.
Fancy syrup.
Yeah, fancy boutique syrup.
Does it give you the boutique diabetes?
It did this morning. I had to take a nap after I ate it.
Crash. We went to some Waffle House place this morning. Not Waffle House, but some place like that in Gunbarrel City after we took the dogs and the cat to the vet. We're having like waffles and pancakes. And I was like, y'all got sugar-free syrup? And they're like, yes, we do. I'm like, okay. Because I got to have the sugar-free. I don't have the beatus. I'm just trying to not get the beatus.
Not get it, yeah.
Right. I'm preventatively.
I don't have a bad sweet tooth. So like I don't usually go after like a lot of sweets. So I don't drink soda. I rarely drink soda at all.
I drink all the soda.
I know. I rarely drink soda, but if I do, I have like a ginger ale.
Yeah.
Or a cherry Coke. But that's once in a while. I don't drink soda much at all.
Yeah, I drink the zeros, Coke Zero, Dr. Pepper Zero. They are significantly better than Diet Coke or Diet Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, that's got all aspartame in it. And
Oh, it's fine. No calories, no problem.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll have to send you the link. The dude I've been following for a long time helped me lose a lot of weight. It's a big fitness guy, and he's like, there are no clinical studies published because people talk about the dangers of the artificial sweeteners. He's like, there is no proof that it does any of the things that they say. If you actually go do all the research and read all the studies on humans, no proof at all it hurts you. Sugar absolutely will give you diabetes.
Oh, sugar will make you fat.
Yeah, and
you know, absolutely will make you fat.
Yeah, yeah. And he said there's more proof the sun is going to give you cancer than there is aspartame. And so if you're not wearing sunscreen every time you walk outside, shut up about the cancer and the aspartame. I'm like, all right, I'll trust him. He's more educated than me.
Yeah, there again, it kind of runs into the thing like, I don't really drink enough to worry.
It was a significant amount of my calorie intake of sodas.
Yeah, well, you were drinking the NOS stuff, right?
I was drinking Monsters for a while.
That's it, the Monster stuff. So
yeah, which has less calories than Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, I'm just give me a cup of coffee, man. I'm from the Northeast. I'll just
this is good coffee.
It'll be 85, 90 degrees, and I'll have a hot cup of coffee, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I go, "I don't know, man. Maybe it's just being from the Northeast. I drink coffee, and it's hot as fuck outside." Oh,
it's got to be out. I'm from the South. I like it sweet. Oh, that was you. I was like, is somebody knocking on my door? It's Ike. Oh. Well, I titled this "Opening a Guitar Store?" ? So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, after 40 minutes, we should talk about it.
So people can't miss. You never talked about opening a store, son of a biscuit. I'm like, all right,
clickbait.
Shut up. All right. Now I kind of know the story of how you started, but why don't you share with the universe how you started?
How I started?
Yeah, in the music business side of things.
So I just started. It was a side hustle, really, buying and selling gear that I found on Craigslist.
Yeah.
So it was, I'd buy a guitar and I'd do a setup on it and sell it for $50 or $75, and but at the time I would buy anything too. So I was doing like garage sale stuff. So I would go in
Gary V
style, yeah. I'd go out and buy something. I still got some of that crap laying around because it was just something cool. Like, oh wow, I'll buy this old 50s fire engine because I bought it for $15 and it was worth $100 or something.
Right.
But music gear was more of a thing that I kind of knew a little bit better. So I would really pinpoint if I was on Craigslist, I would search for guitars, musical instruments, stuff like that, and I would go and look for that stuff. But then I'd also find stuff that I'm like, oh, I could fix that. Oh, I got an extra set of pickups. I could put in that and change that. So it kind of started. That was the seed. Right. And then I broke my ankle. You know the story.
Right.
I broke my ankle, and then I was home for about 4 or 5 months with a cast. So I took about $750 and said, I'm going to try to invest in, see if we could do something with this. So I got a DBA. Doing business as. This is still while I was in New York.
Sole proprietor.
Yep. So still in New York. And I started making phone calls to see if people would sell me stuff. And that was fun because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, well, if I have a license, I could buy wholesale and I could sell for retail and hopefully I could make a few bucks. And this would be fun while I'm stuck at home, convalescing. And, I'm looking up on the internet. I'm like, oh, sure. I'll call Roland. They're big. They're a company that sells musical instruments and stuff. And they go, you're who? Doing what? Yeah, no.
No.
No, I don't think so. So then I just started like going, okay, maybe I need to shoot a little lower. And so then I found a company in Cleveland that was kind of what you would call like a jobber or a wholesaler. Right. And they sold like Chinese import guitars, gig bags, cases. They did have some Washburn pedals from way back in the day.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then they also had the old Snarling Dog pedals. Remember those?
I do remember those.
So they had those and cables and this and that and a few different other things. but they also sold Grover tuners. So like legit Grover tuners, because Grover is based out of Cleveland. So I would drive from Rochester down to Cleveland, and I would buy stuff, and I would see what he had. And then I would put it up online and try to sell it, whether it was through Amazon or eBay or just through Craigslist and stuff like that. And that's kind of the beginning of it all. And it all started to just grow a little bit more side money, just a little bit extra. I wasn't making much.
Side hustle before it was cool.
What's that?
Side hustle before it was cool.
Yeah, side hustle, just making some extra dough. Because I used to work in the restaurant and bar business. For those of you guys that don't know or finding out. So I did that for a long time. That's where our customer service really comes from, is from that business. Everything I learned from that. So then I was still in New York, and I decided to, while I was in New York, though, I did make a call to Dunlop, MXR.
Right.
Which, funny enough, where I grew up in Rochester, I was about little over a mile from the original MXR. Really? Where the original MXR factory was, where they made pedals. It was actually only about a little over a mile away from from the house I grew up in. So that's kind of cool, and I didn't know that. I guess I didn't realize it at the time.
Yeah. That's like Kaiser Capos are in Canton, Texas, and I didn't know it for like 30 years.
Yeah, and they're Dunlop's owned them for a long time, but the original MXR, and Mike Liancano actually plays golf with my dad. So he was one of the original guys at MXR. So I didn't realize this until way later. Yeah. You know, but then, so I called MXR and Dunlop, and I go, okay, now I know a little bit more of what's going on and how to sell stuff.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
my bad.
No problem. So I learned a little bit more of, maybe how I should approach asking to sell stuff. Right. And I said, well, let me give it a shot. So I called them and I said, well, I have a very unique area in which customers can come and bring their own gear and try out pedals and really see if these things are going to work with their rig and work with their tone for what they're going to do as musicians in our local community. Just really just scooping the shit, like really, really doing it. And the salesman goes, oh, that sounds really cool. He goes, yeah, let me send you the paperwork. I'll email it over to you and just get it all filled out and send it back, and we'll get you started. And I go, cool. For real? I was like, you bought all that? Because in my head, I was just talking about my garage. Right. At the time, it was like, it's just my garage. I literally didn't have Flipside music. It wasn't born yet. This was even before I started Flipside. Right. This is just Ike's House of Jams. Yeah, this is just side hustle money. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. But I was selling online. So then I ordered some stuff and I started selling on Amazon, which is a terrible experience, by the way. And then eBay. About that. Yeah, and locally. And so that's where then it started getting it's a little bit bigger. And I was selling a few more things, and I was, doing all my own accounting, and I'm like, wow, I'm making an extra $1,000 a month. Cool. Yeah. Or an extra, sometimes it was way less. Sometimes it was an extra $400 a month, but still it was like, wow, that's cool. Extra money. So then I decided to move back to Colorado, and that was I decided to do it in late 2012, and I moved like in January of 2013. That's when I moved back. And when I got back, I go, do I really want to work in the restaurant business anymore? I'm like, I'm tired of it. Late nights, dealing with drunks, dealing with nonsense. Hours. And I go, well, let's maybe make a go of this online thing. So this room I'm in was filled. I had racks. There was book racks filled with pedals and strings and cables and all sorts of stuff. And so I was doing it right out of this room, sitting right here, putting up listings, taking pictures right there, and selling stuff online. And then a buddy of mine called me and said, hey, because he was doing stuff online too. He's kind of the one that turned me on to it.
Right.
And he goes, my wife wants the garage back because all his shit was in the garage. And he goes, my wife wants the garage back. Do you want to grab a little warehouse or something? And I said, sure, man. Yeah, because I want my room back. And so me and him got a small 750 square foot warehouse. He took half of it. I took the other half. And then I started calling more brands and getting more stuff.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, this is starting to be something. It needs to be an official store. It needs to be an official company. And that's when Flipside Music was actually born, was out of that little warehouse. And then I convinced my buddy Brian to let me have the front where the offices were.
Right.
And I bought 2 slat walls, that 4x8 sheet of slat wall, and that was the original Flipside Music. Was like 300 square feet. You were there. Did you go to that store?
I think so. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to think if I did.
I remember talking to you there. So you might have seen it through the camera or something. Or
probably.
Or something. You've seen pictures. If you go way back, you'll see the pictures. That's where the original pictures of the overseas guitars that we were previously not to mention,
right,
were on the wall. And that's where it all started. And then from there, we started getting busier and busier. Not a lot of people coming through the door.
Right.
But online sales were there, and it was enough to pay for the warehouse and put a couple $100 in my pocket and to cover my mortgage here at the house. Because I already owned my house here in Denver. I never sold it.
Right.
When I moved back to Denver, I still had my house.
Yeah.
And then from there, we moved to our current location where we are right now.
I've been to that one. I don't think I've ever been set foot in the first one. But
the originally OG. Yeah. So our
current location, that one.
Yeah, we've been in here for a long time. And that's when things were like, we're full on going for retail. Like, we're going to try this for real. And that's how it all started. And it's been a slow roll since then. There was no investors. Nobody wrote me a giant check and said, hey, here's $100,000, go buy stuff and advertise. Literally, it started with $750, and I would reinvest and I would reinvest and I would just put more money back in. I gave myself barely enough to cover my mortgage and cover my food and utilities and everything. And my car was paid for at the time.
Yeah.
And that was it. And it just, I kept putting it back in. And as we got bigger and bigger, I just kept putting more back in. And that's really been the whole story since the inception. And it's even what I do now, except I got employees now that I have to pay them first.
Right.
And that's it. That's how it is. And it's really grown like word of mouth.
Yeah.
We haven't done a ton of advertising. It's been a lot of word of mouth in how we've got our customer base.
That's like my buddies down the road I was talking about. They've been in business for like 30 plus years now. I mean, he started out of his house. He had like his garage. We bought my first drum set from this guy in like 1988, like way back. And he worked in the oil fields in East Texas. Like that was his day job, oil field dude. But at home, like above his garage, he had like a room above his garage, and it was filled with just guitars and drums and just crap all like sideways and which way. But all the local East Texas musicians, between Shreveport and Dallas, like they knew this guy. And that's my teacher that I took lessons from. My guitar teacher was like, oh, you got to go talk to this dude. It's like down some country road in this garage, above the garage. And I'm like, where are we going? It wasn't even a store. You know what I mean?
Sounds suspect. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was full of crap. And guitar, not crap, but guitars, drums, basses, he was just buying stuff. And then he eventually had a little building, and then it got grown, and so it's a little bit at a time. The mistake I've seen some people make, there was a store that opened up in Longview, Texas. I forgot the name of it, but the guy who was he was a fiddle player for maybe Neil McCoy, the guy who lives in Longview, Texas, big country guy, the fiddle player for the dude opened a store, and he got a couple of other investors, like business people. Hey, give me some money. I'm going to open the store. And it went out of business in about 3 years. and I bought a guitar. I bought one of my Washburns, my first USA Washburn. It was on Craigslist because one of the investors, after the store closed its doors, all there was left to do was like go get the gear back. There was no money.
Yeah, just liquidate the gear.
Yeah, and so this guy was just on Facebook from he was like an environmental consultant dude guy who had an office. And I went to his office in Longview, like, I had another room full of just crap. And I was like, well, I got this guitar. So you can have it for $300. I'm like, I will take that USA Washburn guitar for $300, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I was talking to him, really nice dude. And he's like, yeah. So they opened that store immediately, like $300,000, $400,000 in debt. The building, and then you get terms, 30, 60, 90-day terms from Fender, Washburn, US Music, whoever. Yeah, send me $50,000 worth of guitars. But 60 days later, Fender wants a check for $60,000. I mean,
yes,
so
they do.
They went big from the beginning because they wanted to compete with one of the other bigger stores. And it failed, So instead of like start small and build with small successes, they thought they're going to go gangbusters out of the gate and compete, and it's like, hard.
It's tough to do that in business, to like just jump in and try to be a big player in a space. Yeah. The thing is, and especially in this, I mean, what I've learned is, it would have been nice to have more stuff earlier, but I didn't have that kind of money.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't have $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to just buy a bunch of gear. I mean, I didn't. My first order with Dunlop was $300.
Yeah.
So the first order I made with a real company was $300, and I thought and I'm like, oh man. And I remember the first time I put in a $700 order, I was like, oh shit, we getting big, son. Like,
we hit the big times now.
Yeah, we getting big. But it was funny because then, like, it was little, but what I learned was that, especially in the music business, people need to trust you.
Yeah.
They need to know that you know what the frick you're talking about. They need to know that they trust you, like you're legit. At least the guys and the players,
right.
The people that are in the scene, the players and stuff like that. Like, it takes time. But if you treat one of those guys right from a certain band or whatever, and they're out playing out all the clubs,
they're out doing it.
They go, hey man, did you hear about this guy that's selling? They got a cool pedal collection. They got a lot of stuff going on. It's a new little store. Go check it out. And so what happened with us is we just started grabbing, because I didn't have a lot of money. I mean, it just grew organically. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like I could call Fender and say, oh yeah, send me $40,000 worth of guitars, because, well, I didn't have $40,000. And right. I had nobody to borrow $40,000 from. So that wasn't going to happen. But I could call Electro Harmonics and say, hey, how much, and once I got in with a company, I started realizing how shit worked. It was like, well, I call them up and say, hey, now I have a store.
Yeah.
I have a retail spot. So now we're not just trying to sell online. Because they'll sell to people online, but you better have some money.
Yeah.
And some stuff set up, because otherwise they don't know if you're a scam.
Right. Yeah. They want to see brick and mortar.
Yeah. If you're a brick and mortar, it's a different story. So I was like, hey, I got a store. How much is it to get started? Oh, well, we require X amount of pieces. Okay. I could pull that together.
Yeah.
$1,500. Yeah. I could pull that together. Put an order in. Now I have MXR and Electro Harmonics. And then, here's this other little company that's making a splash, Earthquaker Devices. Well, they seem like they're getting popular. They make some cool stuff. Hey, how much is it? Could we get started? Oh, yeah, we don't have a dealer in Denver. Sure. Here's $1,500. And so we started to build, and that's why, like, right now we probably have the most pedal effects in the region.
You have a plethora of pedals.
We got a lot. So, and that's how it started. It was really just out of necessity. Like, I ain't got a lot of money.
Yeah.
So let's start getting we could have these really cool brands that do really cool things. and then and that's a good reason for people to come in. And as far as pedal or guitar companies, we did make an investment on said company that we won't mention.
He who shall not be named.
He that shall not be named. We tried that. That was the first guitar company we were trying to like see if we could have a go with.
Yeah.
That went.
It went somewhere.
Yeah, I learned a lot from that experience.
That was the most money I ever spent with any brand ever at that point.
Me too.
And I was
that was the biggest investment for me.
Yeah.
I've ever made in anything. And
I had a buddy that I respected who back in the day, the guy from Pittsburgh, Eric McKenna, Boogie Street Guitars, like he's not even in the music gear anymore. He became a realtor, killing it in Pittsburgh as a realtor. But now he's tipping his toes back into the guitar stuff. I can see what he's doing. He's making his money in the real estate game, but he's tipping his toes back into. He did what you did. He just started buying stuff used and selling it on, eBay and locally and stuff in Pittsburgh, buying used guitars, selling them, buying used guitars, selling them. And then he became a dealer for Washburn and then just selling online. He had an office that was there, but you couldn't go to the office and buy it. So he kind of did what you did, but with guitars. And I talked to him because I have a couple of Boogie Street guitars. Like my nicest USA custom shop Washburn is from him, and I got 2 others. And so I used to talk to him and ask him advice, like in 2010 when I started, because he's a little bit older than me. Well, he's about 10 years older, so he's like 55, 56, and he'd been in it for a while. And so I trusted him, and I was a customer of his. I asked him, I was like, "Hey, Eric, I'm thinking about doing this thing with this company. Here's the stuff. What do you think?" He's like, "I wouldn't do it." He says, "Never buy that many guitars." He said, "Call him and see, can I get 10 and see what happens?" So that was his advice, which is how I ended up with the NAMM guitars that I got. Because he did a thing with Washburn where he did these limited run imports in batches of 50. They were numbered, number 1 through 50, and each one was numbered. I have number 12, blah, blah, blah. You could only buy it from him and dealer exclusive thing. And with Washburn, they were supposed to be scheduled out. Like he'd get the first 50 and sell through those, and then get the next 50 of a different guitar and sell through. But something happened, the factory, and everything got switched around, and he had like 200 guitars show up at once. And they were like, "Hey, we need a check for 200 high-end custom shop." I mean, they're Korean guitars, but they were limited custom stuff. And he was just like, he told me, he's like, "Ryan, like one wrong $10,000 or $20,000 decision can put you out of business." I mean, depending on where you're at and your margins and stuff, or like $100,000 mistake
in your business, where you are in your business.
Right. It could be one wrong $100,000 mistake could ruin your business.
Oh yeah.
Or one $10,000. Like, I was like, okay, I should have listened to it. I mean, we're still here. You're still here. We're still here.
I'm still here. I mean, it was an expensive lesson to learn, but we did sell the guitars. Right. We blew them out at the end, so we got our money back. And I rolled that into other guitars. I think the first brand that was big that we picked up was G&L.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we sold like Michael Kelly guitars for a while before Sam Ash bought them.
Yeah.
So we dipped our toe in with them. We sold ESP for a little bit.
I remember.
I got Reverend, because I always thought Reverend was great guitars, and they were at a good price point. Because we weren't at, we couldn't make the jump to Fender yet.
Right.
Because we just weren't there. And then when we could, we did. And we've done really well with Fender. Dealing with Fender you have your own challenges when you start dealing with certain brands and how they operate their business. Right. So you got to work within the parameters of that, which sometimes can be a challenge.
Yes.
But I'm always one of those, you got to get a little risk to get the reward. Yeah. But also, if you got to dig deep to make it happen, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we've done with some of this stuff. you know, and now the pandemic and all the things, and now we got a new building, like all that stuff, just everything is constantly changing, and you have to reevaluate everything.
Yeah. My first brand actually brought on was Schecter. So like in like late, like November maybe of 09, it's like I hadn't technically opened the doors yet of the building for business. I was in here like remodeling and building walls and painting and laying floor and stuff and preparing. And I think I might have called GHS first because I played Boomers. So I think I called GHS and like, yeah, we'll send you some strings. There's either GHS or D'Addario. One of the two. I can't remember. It might have been D'Addario. But like in 09, I put in same thing. I just called up GHS or D'Addario and said like, hey, I wasn't open yet, but I had my DBA and my tax ID for reselling. I was like, hey, I've got a little lesson studio and a small guitar shop in Canton, Texas, and I'd like to carry your strings. What's it going to take? And they're like, oh, we'll send you over the stuff. It's this. And it was really easy. Like the first thing I ordered was strings from a string company. And my very first order I ever put in somewhere was like $200.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with like a $200 order and then got something else. And then I was like, well, I already liked Schecter's. And I knew they would work with the small companies because there was a store in Tulsa when I lived up there that did exactly what I do. They taught lessons, like 80% of what they did was teaching lessons. You could buy cables, and they had a few guitars, and they had Schecter's in the same town with Guitar Center, who had a buttload of Schecter's. So I was like, well, they'll obviously work with somebody small because my buddies up in Tulsa did it. So I called them. I love Schecter. It was completely the wrong move because the first thing I did was order like 12 electric guitars. Well, that's not what sells in East Texas. I should have ordered 12 acoustic guitars.
Right.
And then so like in November I ordered but they were having their end of the year thing. Like, hey guys, it's end of the year. We had packages like 16 guitars and this special pricing, extra percentage, blah blah blah. I'm like,
free shipping.
Yeah. And I was like, and I had a couple of buddies. Well, Paul, the bitter bass fan, was like, Paul, because for them, but like back then, I don't know what it is now, but back then it was like 16 units or 15 units. I was like, Paul, you want some Schecter basses? Because he already played Schecter bass. I was like, I got to meet this unit order. And he's like, yeah, give me 4 basses. So like, I mean, I sold them to him for like what my cost was because it helped me meet the unit demand. Then I had another buddy who wanted a guitar. And so he bought a guitar and I gave him a killer deal. So really out of my own pocket, I only had to buy like 9 guitars. They hung on the wall for a long time though, because I should have got acoustics. And that summer is when I learned, bro, no, you should have bought acoustics first because those sell.
Right.
And then put some electrics on the wall in small town East Texas. But
those are the lessons. Those are the lessons we learn as we go.
Yeah.
You know, like we have more electrics than acoustics, but I picked up Yamaha because they make $179 acoustic that sounds great.
Yeah.
And it moves. So, but these are all lessons you kind of learn as we've made some missteps. I brought brands in that I'm like, this is going to be great. And it's like, shit. Yeah. And then let's blow those out because they're not moving or the company's hard to deal with. I remember having one guitar company that was like not famous, but had a good following online, not the aforementioned guitar company we won't mention.
Shall not be named.
Yes, the company that shall not be named, but it was something similar to that.
Yeah.
And I remember I called him and he goes, yeah, you got to order 10 guitars. And I go, no fucking way, bro. You're not 10 guitar company guy.
You're not ESP.
I'm not going to do that, but maybe send me 3 and let's get started.
Yeah.
And so he did. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, you got to order all these. We have to get a commitment. And I go, you're not that big. I'm not going to commit. You want me to order $10,000 worth of guitars that
I don't know what's going to happen.
And I go, I don't think so. So that fell apart. But I learned a lesson off of that too. So all this stuff is, and I think any business, anybody that thinks they know all their shit out the gate. I mean, look at Elon Musk right now. Hey, I'm going to buy Twitter. And we're going to do all this thing. You know, he's had to Twitter for 2 weeks, and it's just swirling around the turlet right now.
Oh my gosh, I have had a Twitter since like forever, like 2010. I've never been on it because I didn't really like it or figure it out. I thought maybe I should tweet a little bit more. But Ken's my friend here in Canton, who said, "What guitar line would you recommend for a small music store?" I was about to say, I mean, we don't carry Yamaha, but I don't know what the buy-in is with Yamaha. I've never actually asked them if it's like a significant thing. I think it might be.
It's fairly significant, but here's the thing. Because of the pandemic and all the things that have happened with supply chain and this is and that's, there's a lot of companies that aren't opening anybody up right now. Unless it's an area that they're not being serviced.
They're not represented.
So what happened with us, I called Yamaha, and then I'll get to the question too. I'll throw my suggestion into it. So I called Yamaha and said, "Hey, we're interested in carrying you guys because, well, you're Yamaha and you guys make good guitars, and we'd love to have that. We'd love to have your brand, in our store." And he goes, "Sorry, man, we're not opening anybody up right now. So yeah, I don't think that's going to be really we're going to be able to help you out." And I go, "Okay, can I ask you a question?" And he goes, "Sure, man. What's going on?" I go, "Well, we are here in Denver Metro. Who is your go-to dealer for Yamaha here in Denver Metro?" And he goes, "Well, it's he goes, "Hang on." And I hear
tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it,
tap, tap, tap. And he goes, "Oh, we don't have anybody." I go, "Oh, no, I already knew that.
Right.
I already did my research. I already knew nobody in Denver or surrounding was carrying Yamaha. I already knew that. That's why I went for it." And he goes, "Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. We don't have anybody." I go, "Okay, well, I know what you just told me, but I am on the phone and I'm interested."
And there's how many million people in Denver?
I go, "Can we continue this conversation, or do you think there might be an option?" He goes, "Let me get back to you on this." He goes, let me call you back. I go, all right, I'm interested. You feel free, give me a call back. Can you call me back tomorrow at like 3 p.m? Yeah. I've learned some shit in business. Sometimes you got to tell them when to call you.
Right.
Or give a deadline, because otherwise it'll just float out there. Right. Sometimes if you just let it float, it'll float forever. So if you could try to at least lock them down on a time or something, and this is for anybody that you're working with in any type of business sometimes, that way you can at least move that cycle along.
Right, because you got stuff to do too.
Right. I ain't got time to be waiting around and wondering, "Oh, I hope Yamaha calls me today."
Right.
So he called back and he's like, "Yeah, well, we don't have anybody. So yeah, well, we can move forward." But there's a lot of companies out there that aren't opening opening new dealers.
Right.
So
follow-up question. Ken was asking, does that get you into their brass woodwinds and keyboards? My guess is no.
Separate divisions.
Yeah.
That's like just because I have a Yamaha account doesn't mean I can order a motorcycle.
Right. Or a trumpet.
So there are different divisions within that.
Right.
Guitars, but they have the keyboards and synths and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You have your brass and all those kind of things. So if that was something I was interested in, I certainly could approach them and ask them about that. But there may be a different requirement because of that.
Yeah. I feel like with the band instrument thing, that's a whole nother animal completely.
A whole nother kettle of fish.
You need a whole different crew of people just to do that stuff. So who would you suggest? What company? Oh, it's buku's money. It's just crazy money.
There's some dough involved with that side of things, but there's money to be made there too.
Sure.
So starting out, I would say, why is this camera? Sorry, this is driving me crazy too.
It doesn't like you.
Well, I think it's time for a brother to get a new camera. Is what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's just, I don't know what's going on.
I got mine at Walmart. You got a Target there. Y'all are fancy.
Well, this cameras, I've never had a problem, and all of a sudden I'm having an issue. But I'll figure it out. I'll get something better.
It's me.
It could be. Maybe it's the connection. It's like we're gonna focus on Ryan and maybe blur out this other guy. I would look at, for acoustics, I would probably look at Alvarez. Very good company. We also carry Alvarez, and we've been very impressed with what they've sent us.
All right.
So that would be a company I would look at. And then as far as electric guitars, I would look at G&L.
Yeah.
Because the G&L Tribute Series stuff, you're looking at $600 price point for Strats and Tellies that are awesome, that will go up against Classic Vibe. It'll kill a Classic Vibe. But they'll also go right up against, I'll put this against any, now I'm a Fender dealer and I'm a lifelong Fender guy. I mean, I have a number of Fender guitars around here and I love the brand. But even the Tribute Series stuff, you know, there's times where they beat out a standard Strat or a standard Telly. S500 goes, you know, can go toe to toe with a standard Telly or a standard Strat any day of the week.
Yeah.
So that's a brand you could, if you could get into, that kind of covers that Fender ground. That's not Fender, but if you start telling the story about it, there's good opportunity, because we sell.
Leo Fender was involved.
Yeah, we tell people, we ask people often, are you familiar with G&L? Do you know the history of it? Some people are like, oh yeah, and then there's other people like, no, I don't know. And then once you explain, you know, Leo's progression, they go, oh, okay, cool. So they realize that it's you know, if Colonel Sanders opened up another chicken place and called it Colonel's Chicken, and you're like, man, I don't know about Colonel's Chicken, and then you go and you realize Sanders did it, then you go, okay, I get it. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So on the acoustic side, I would say Alvarez is a really great way to go. They make good stuff. And then I'd say on electric, G&Ls would be a great way to go too. But
I'm gonna let you answer some questions. I got to use the bathroom like crazy because I've been drinking this whole time. So I'm gonna remove myself, I think, from the stream and let you finish talking. You can answer questions. Keep it PG-17.
I can't F-bomb all over? Because I like to swear, but
I know. Good.
All right. I'm being good for that. I've only said F twice, I think.
I know. And that's okay. I'm going to allow you a few because we're friends and you can do that.
And you know how I do.
I do know I do. I'll be right back.
All right. So let me look over here on the comment section and see what's up. Let's see if we can get the settings on this camera. If anybody wants to send me a nice camera, because this is terrible. All right, let's try this again. All right. That's about as good as you're going to get, I guess, guys. All right, so what do you all think about the Nux stuff? This is Jeffrey Egan asking. Well, not Nux. It's New X is what I was told. They've approached us, and I think it's the affordable version of a lot of things. And I think in regards to that, some of it's going to be good and some of it's not. The stuff we've heard, some things sound really great, but it could also come down to the longevity of the item. You know, so, you know, if you buy a Boss pedal, it might last you 30 years. And that's what you kind of expect from certain brands. I think some of the brands that are inexpensive, that are somewhat replicas of more expensive pedals, they could last, but they might not last that long. So there's a number of them that are out there. So Jeffrey Egan says that he has a G&L Tribute and it's great quality. Like I said, I've had this thing for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years now. It was one of the first ones that we bought, that we brought into the store. And literally I've played, I don't know, at least a dozen shows or more with that. And it's just always stayed in tune. Minor modifications, not the hardware, not the electronics, but just the bridge. I just upgraded the bridge, and even the tuners are the original tuners, and it's awesome. And the reason I have it is because it is a stable workhorse for me. So, hey,
I made it back.
I think I got one question. You know, I'm long-winded as.
That's all right. I lost a bunch of weight in 2020, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my secrets is I drink a lot to keep me from eating a lot. However, You got to go. You got to go.
I've done pretty good this year. I've lost a few pounds this year because I was like, I'm tired of being fat, bald, and ugly. I can only do one thing. I can only fix one thing.
Can always grow a beard.
So I'm gonna start eating salad. I might
get more beard, more handsomer.
I might grow this out because we are getting into winter time. So I usually do grow it a little bit, but I might grow it out a bit this year.
You should. What was the question you answered?
Jeff asked about Nuex
pedals. Yeah.
And so basically what I was saying is that, they're a pretty decent alternative to the actual pedal. But sometimes it could be, how durable is it?
Sure. I've actually,
a Boss pedal, you could beat the hell out of somebody with it and plug it in and play a whole show and it'll be fine for 30 years. So.
Right. Yeah. I actually have a Nuex pedal that's like a acoustic IR loader thing that I bought. I bought it on Amazon. And to go with, I have a acoustic electric with the piezo. I mean, electric guitar with a piezo in it. Or piezo, whatever.
Piezo.
I
call it piezo because I had a neighbor.
Yeah.
Who was from Italy, and his name was Joe Pizzo.
Joe Pizzo.
Felt the same way, and everybody called it Joe Pizzo. So I always say it Pizzo. It could be piezo.
I bought it for that, and but then I had a sales rep come in a couple of days ago. Who's a guy I know from way back who used to have his own store in Kansas back in the mid 2000s, and now he's like the dude in charge of all the other sales reps. But we've known each other for forever, before RNA existed, any of that other stuff, and before he was in the rep game. And he came in to say hello, so we met in person. That was cool in 3D. And like they do Nuex, and he's also over like Breedlove, and a couple of other things.
Good stuff.
Yeah, they were talking to me about the Breedlove stuff. I'm like, let's talk, because I've never heard a bad thing about Breedlove. And when I worked at the Evil Empire 1,000 years ago, we sold Breedloves there, and they were nice. And there's like, their most like budget friendly Breedlove, I think, is around like $450, maybe. I mean, it's close to $500 is their like budget cost efficient one. The cheapest one is like,
but that's a good investment. You buy a $500 acoustic from a good company.
Yeah,
that's you're gonna hold that for a bit.
Yeah, because they were asking me, it's like, so what do you do for acoustics? So I'm like, well, let me tell you, because I started with Washburn. I love Washburn, but during the whole pandemic thing, well, once Washburn got bought out by, I think KMC is the distributor for them.
I got some Washburns if you want them. If you need to put some in the store.
Really? Well, I mean, once they got bought out, I used to deal with Washburn directly and call them, and they had people and they had offices and all that sort of stuff. And then I remember when they got sold, because my sales rep, a lady, really nice lady, I think her name was Jean. She was super cool. Understood what we did and worked with us and everything. She's like, well, I'm sorry, you're not going to be your person anymore. They get sold out. After they got sold out, it was a little bit different, but I still liked them, still ordered them. I have zero problems. They had good, like, budget-friendly ones. They had good high-end ones. But when COVID happened, it got to the point like I couldn't order any. Well, like everything was sold out everywhere, so I just couldn't.
I have more guitars now than I've ever had, and part of that is because I went heavier because I didn't want to end up without stuff, and now But this is like everybody. We've all heard about Target, having more shit. I mean, we're not that heavy. I didn't go crazy. I was reasonable. You know how I do.
Yes.
I was very reasonable about what I did, but I also didn't want to be in a position that we didn't have stuff. Well, now we have some extras, which is good. But we do need to liquidate some of our inventory because but for a while, you couldn't get anything. I mean, Fender is still backed up. Some of these companies are still backed up. We have customers, hey, can you order me this? Yeah, it's going to be 6 months. No. Yeah. And then they'll go, okay, well, let me see what I can do. And then they'll call back in 2 days and go, okay, can you order that? And I go, who else did you call? Because they told you the same thing, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody.
They want to get it through us. So I appreciate that. But
yeah. Well, because they've built a relationship.
Yeah.
And going back to that question from way before was like, why buy from us and not Sweetwater? It's like, well, You can buy from wherever you want to. That's fine. But like, why buy your lumber from Home Depot when there's a lumber shop right in your own community, mom and pop? I mean, there's a little bit of a philosophy thing to it. It was like, well, would you rather give your money to a big faceless corporation that doesn't give an F, or would you rather support a small business that's trying to feed their local community and make an impact?
Yeah, they send their kids to the local school. Their taxes go to the local community. Luckily enough, Denver's a very local orientated city.
Yeah.
And to be honest, ever since I have my business, I am way more local orientated. Like I will go to even though it might be a bigger store like an Ace Hardware.
Right. There's
I'll
Ace
go to
Hardware.
the Ace Hardware that's owned by the local guy. I don't go to I won't go to Home Depot, or I'd rather go to the local burger shop or to like a food truck, because I know I'm helping people in my community that have their own small businesses, instead of going to the major corporations. Same thing with like Amazon. Like I only order off of Amazon if it's something I can't get local.
Right. Yeah.
So I try to really do support local businesses, just because I know what it's like.
Yeah.
And I want every extra little dollar helps. So
yeah. Now I get it. There are people out there who don't care, and all they care about is the lowest price or whatever. And it's like, well, I mean, you're free to do that, absolutely, and that's fine. Sure. I'm not mad at them for shopping somewhere else, but there are also people who are like, "Oh, I'm gonna buy it from you." I'm like, "Well, thank you. I know you can get other places, but you choose to buy it from us because they like what we do and the vision and like all that kind of stuff." So that's relationships.
Yeah, and that we get it. We get people that come to us because, well, it's good business to make sure you have the stuff in hand, not to be out of stuff all the time too. Right. So we try to accommodate that, but there's all people, we do get special orders, and then it might be also the fact that, hey, we kind of know how to use this thing, because you can't call Jeff Bezos to ask you how to make you a stereo rig.
Right.
Where you can call Dylan, and Dylan will walk you through on how to put your rig completely together, or how to put your acoustic rig so you're not having feedback, or how you can split this signal to do a thing here and a thing there. Sammy Ash might not be able to do that for you. Jeff Bezos ain't going to be able to do that for you. We know what's his name ain't going to do it for you over at Shitwater anymore, because now he's not even in charge. You know what I mean? Like, so there's a little bit of a difference. Hang on one second, because I got somebody that needs to get in this room, because I can hear him whining at the door.
Right. Yeah, no worries. Let me know when you're back.
Come on, buddy. I hear you whining out there. Come here, my buddy.
I'm going to scroll through some comments here.
Hey, look at that.
There's that dude.
That's my boy. Say hello to Ryan.
Hey man, don't bark at me.
He will side-eye the shit out of everybody.
You should have seen it when we were at the vet. When we were at the vet today, and we had to put Hetfield, our schnauzer, up on the table.
Mm-hmm.
They gave him the little peanut butter. They gave him the pill to knock him out, I guess. And they had laid out. No, it wasn't the Hetfield. It was the cat, Frank. His name's Guileo, but we named him Frank because he looks like
Frank.
Yeah, Nicholas named him Guileo. It's his cat, which is some Gundam anime character name. I was like, Guileo? What is this? I was like, son, he looks like a Frank. I'm going to call him Frank.
This is Dave.
Dave. I mean, Frank. Frank seems like the name. It was Frank. He was up on the table, and they gave him the pill to knock him out. And then they took his temperature.
And
Angela was cracking up. She's like, "Did you see Frank?" Because he was just like, he just like turned slow, head turned like, "What are you sticking where?"
Yeah. Just why is this happening?
It cracked her up. And like he didn't fight or like claw or anything. He was just like, "What are you doing?" So, anyways, yeah, they'll stare you down.
Oh, yeah. He's been good. You know my situation recently, so So those of you that are watching, I lost my 17-and-a-half-year-old Australian Shepherd last week. So my boy Dave here, we're both a little bit, figuring out life after that.
Yes.
He's been really good. He's been very mellow for being so he's a blue heeler.
Yeah.
Which is like one step away from a wild animal. Because I just want to get a collar on him that says psycho. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Because he's a bit nuts, but he's really is a good boy.
We talked about this a little bit before the stream, you guys, because we had our little schnauzer Roxy that we had for like 12, 13 years passed earlier this year. And I was absolutely unprepared because I haven't lost a dog like that since I was a kid. Not lost a dog, but had one pass away.
Yeah.
And I was not prepared for how emotionally attached I was to her. Because people talk about, oh, it's just a dog. It's not like it's your dad. I'm like, well, I know that. But 12 years of companionship. My dad can be an ass sometimes.
Yeah.
Roxy was cool all the time,
And they're always there. They're always under your foot. You feed them. You keep them alive. You water them. You watch them poop. I'm like,
you clean up.
They're just so much part of every day.
Yeah.
I'm the same way, man. I blubbering like a little baby. It's just so tough, man. So amazingly tough. It's hard, But that's not anything to do with the store.
Right, that's not guitar stuff, but
she was my original shop dog. So
that was Roxy. She was our rock dog, and then, of course we still have some others, and they're getting older. And of course now we have the young buck Schnauzer, who's he's something else because all the other dogs are girls. Call them biscuits. That's the PG word, biscuits. Biscuits like to run around, right? But I forgot what having a boy dog is like.
It's a little bit different. They got a different way of doing things.
Boy cats, I learned today, because our boy cat, it's Nicholas's cat, but he is like super affectionate. He's like always like rubbing on your leg, like, hey, what's up, purr. It's like always just like he wants to be on you, wants to like cuddle. Mm. Our girl cats are like, nah.
That's even with the dogs. Like Dave's way more snuggler.
Yeah.
He's way more of a snuggler than Angie was. She was more like on guard all the time. Like if I was sitting down, wherever I was, she was in front of me.
Yeah.
On patrol. Like all the time. She would snuggle, but she wasn't like, this guy's like up my ass all the time. Wherever I am, he wants to. It's like, dude, I got to be there. Like, I'm surprised it took him that long.
Yeah.
Because I could hear him. Like, I'm surprised it took him that long because he's just laying here. He just wants to be. But yeah.
Yeah, that's Frank.
Different.
That's Frank the cat. He's all up in your business. And of course, the vets, they were like, oh, yeah, boy cats are like that. Boy cats are a little more snuggle bug than girl cats. I'm like, huh. I never knew that. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
He's half the man he used to be today, though. So we'll see how snuggly he is.
He got to bob it.
Yeah, he got. We don't need any litters of kittens running around the house. So.
Oh man, they just multiply before you know it. You'd be Oh, do you know the cat people over at RNA Music?
They're like rabbits. Cats are like rabbits, but more vicious.
Yeah, they'll leave for 2 days and come back with 8.
Yeah,
smaller versions of themselves. Yeah.
Terry said he cried for a couple of years after having to put his dog down. I'm like, yeah, I'm still.
It's only been a week and a half. I'm still like, I haven't been able to. I still have her medicine on the table from when I brought her to the emergency vet. I haven't been able to move her dog bowl or her bed. Like I can't do it. I can't do it yet. It's still too fresh.
Too fresh, yeah. Well, like Pepper, our Chihuahua, she thinks Roxy was her mama because we got her at like 8 weeks and Roxy was full grown. Now Pepper's always super attached to me anyways, which is, I didn't even want her. Angela wanted a Chihuahua, but she became like my dog because she's obsessed with me. But after Roxy was gone, Pepper was like, I'm like, all right, fine, Pepper.
Yeah.
You can come lay on me. I'm like, fine.
Yeah, it's amazing how attached you get.
Yeah. So, you know, all the other ones get a little bit more attention right now as helping us cope, I guess, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I was going to tell you, my guy who came in, I was talking about breed love and all that stuff. He's also does they're over the Nuix. And I was like, I actually have the Nuix pedal. He's like, Ryan, don't buy it from freaking Amazon. Talk to us about it. And so he was telling me about it. And I'm like, sounds interesting because they're kind of a newer company. Obviously, they're not established like everybody else. But apparently
they're not that old.
Right.
I mean, they're not that young. It was the 90s, I believe.
Yeah. I think they do a lot of OEM stuff for other people.
Who's it? Which one? Breedlove?
Nuix.
Oh, Nuix. Oh, shit. I'm sorry. I think what I was doing was I was reading.
Right.
When you said that, and I thought we were back on Breedlove. Because I'm looking over here at Jeff Egan is talking about his ASAC Classic.
Mm-hmm.
And he said because of the MFD pickups, doesn't really sound like a telly. See, that's why I love that telly.
Oh,
because
right.
it's a little bit hotter and it drives the amp. But you could still roll it back and I could still get because I'm not playing chicken picking.
Right.
I'm playing more blues, so I like the drive of it. But I can still get a nice little country twang if I need it. But sorry, I sidetracked.
Yeah. Now, we might end up doing some stuff because he was talking to me about the Nuix, and I already have one of their pedals, and I'm like, seems good. I kind of like it. And they would be one of those companies they're easy to work with.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean it
could fill a niche for us.
You know, they're budget friendly.
Yes.
So that helps too when people are looking for certain things.
And that's a lot of our sales stuff it's more local, and like our students, and like we have students looking for like they just need something simple and affordable, and like, you know.
Yeah, I need something to have a distortion, or I need a chorus, or I need a reverb that's not going to cost me. You know, we got reverbs that are $480.
Yeah.
But those are pro people that are looking for that stuff. But sometimes you just need a guy that's like, I need reverb.
I just need something.
Here's this outlaw pedal. It's $55.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
That'll work. Right. So meeting people where they're at with that stuff. So, and they do like electronic drum sets, which I've been like talking about because we got a lot of drum students. And yeah. So the Nuix apparently makes electronic drum sets, and we were telling me about it, mesh heads, all that stuff. I'm like, and the budget was like, they got a fancy nice one, and they've got a pretty cost effective one. I'm like, really?
Got around like $400, $350, $400, I think they got one.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just good price.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, so I could get some electronic drum kits. They've got tuners, they got wireless systems. Because I was telling them, my guy, I was like, listen. This is the third Line 6 G10 transmitter I have snapped its shizzle up.
Wow.
This one, I was actually able to repair it with super glue twice. Oh, freaking boss. Is that chassis made of metal or is it plastic?
This is plastic, but I've used this quite a bit and it's held up. But it depends on what budget you want to be on. But I'm a Boss dealer, so there are sometimes things end up at the house because, I got it at wholesale. So.
And to be fair, I use this like every single day, all day. And I'm taking it in and out and stuff. Because I spend 80% of my time, 90% of my time teaching, like back and forth guitars and stuff. So I use this probably way more than it's intended to be used.
Most likely. I mean, I use this. This is here because so my little setup right here, I have a Boss, one of the 59 Bassman pedals, into a Strymon Iridium, into a little board, and I plug this into the pedal, and I plug this into the guitar, and then I could sit here and practice along with something or learn something and play just through the monitors. I just need something that gets me enough sound that I need. If I want to get something to add a little bit more, effects, I use the Katana. I really like the Katanas.
Yep.
So I'll use that. I got that D20 if I want to get a little bit more like.
I've got CAD audio.
Oh yeah.
So one of my other sales reps that I hadn't talked to in a while, who was my hookup with Heritage, when we did Heritage for a little bit. His name is John Chapman. I like John. I like John. And anyways, the company he's with now does cat audio. I'm like, I used to sell cat audio, John. And like somebody else's, rep firms change all the time. But he dropped this off because I was like, I freaking love wirelesses now. I hate being tangled with a cable.
Oh, yeah.
But I have a love-hate thing with the Line 6 because, I mean, you can buy a new transmitter for $110, and I'm on my third one. I actually broke down and bought a G50, which is their heavier duty, like pro level one.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a pack, and you've got to put it on your thing, and it AA batteries, and like.
I'm a Line 6 dealer now too, so if you need stuff.
Really? Okay. Was that a big buy-in? I was talking about that with somebody the other day.
That's part of Yamaha.
Oh,
but we had to do a buy-in for that too.
Okay. Awesome. Well,
just letting you know.
CAD's got some wireless stuff, and then Nuix has their own wireless stuff. I'm like, well, yeah, I'll check this stuff out, and if it's all right, we'll carry it, and if not, then I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's what we do. We bring in brands, and like what we do is we try to, customers tell us sometimes, hey, check out this, check out that. We'll look at it, and if it's a brand that we think we can do well, we'll bring it in, and then hopefully it works. We've had brands that we brought in. We had one brand, pretty famous brand. Oh man, you guys got to carry it. Oh man, you guys got to carry it. All right, so we called up, got them in. They move, but slow. And we're like, we're going to do way better with these than what we do. And then we're like, well, they're not bad pedals. Don't get me wrong. Good sounding pedals. What happens is because we have so many now, there's a lot more contrast. Somebody walks in and goes, I'm looking for a fuzz pedal. And we're like, can you narrow it down? Like, what type of fuzz are you looking for? And they're like, well, a fuzz. And I go, we got like 70 different fuzz pedals, man. Like we need to
different.
Sometimes we'll give some from a different family tree, but then what happens is some of these brands that we bring in, the contrast between their pedal and the two other brands that we like or carry the same kind of thing, those brands sell before the other one. So almost there's a competition in between the two of them sometimes, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I like people will come in and asking for strings, and like I can't carry 700 different brands of strings because it's not really worth it. Like it's funny because you have the stuff that you like. Like I like GHS because I played GHS for a long time. I tried Ernie Ball. I didn't really like them that much, and GHS worked good for me. So I thought I'm going to sell those, and I got them in, and we're GHS dealers. And then I also got into Dario, and locally, nobody bought GHS. Everybody bought the Darios. Right. So it was like when I would finally, nothing wrong with GHS, and I personally liked them a lot. They just didn't move. So when it came time to reorder more strings, I'm like, well, I'm going to order more Darios because they're just great too. Like it's not like, in my opinion, one wasn't better than the other or one wasn't worse. I was like, man, they're both great guitar strings. The one that sold more is the one I'm going to try to keep on.
Yeah. It starts to thin itself out.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Dunlop strings. Most of my guitars have Dunlops on them or Kurt Mangan's.
Yeah.
Kurt Mangan, Colorado, really good string. Yeah, they're the Colorado company. Really good. People that know them, buy them. People that don't are kind of like, they're a little expensive. And it's hard to get people to change. Whatever I don't have a Kurt Mangan, I have most of my stuff as Dunlop. And it's hard to convince people to try the Dunlop sometimes. But I really like them. I'm a big fan of those strings.
Jeffrey Egan needs a wireless. He keeps tripping over cables.
Who's that?
Jeffrey Egan. So Jeffrey, Ike from Flipside Music in Denver, Colorado has your wireless options for you. I'm currently in the middle of locating some wireless. So if you really want one, call Ike because obviously you got the Boss stuff. I've looked at the Boss stuff And the thing with the Boss that I noticed was they have a separate one for passive pickups and a different one for actives with their wireless systems. I mean, with the Line 6, it's like both.
Yeah, it's like, here you go.
I don't know what the difference is, but I have guitars with actives and I have guitars with passives.
Yeah, you need to kind of have something that covers both grounds. I don't have anything. I don't have anything with actives.
You're missing out.
I did have a customer ask me about 8185s though.
Well, they are amazing.
Yesterday, and I'm like, man, I'm not an ESP dealer. Sorry.
EMG.
Yeah, didn't I say that? What did I say?
Is it ESP?
You know what I meant.
Yeah, ESP, EMG, CMG,
EDM. I don't know. I'm confused, man.
RNA.
Hey, so I see in a question over here,
mm-hmm.
Metalhead Hippie.
Yeah. Let me go back up.
The charity question.
Yes. I can answer that question, I think.
I think you can.
And then I'll let you elaborate. Yes. Flipside Music in Denver does support some charities. There's the Blues for
Connection.
Tell us about that.
So Blue Star Connection is a charity that basically what we do. So what the charity does is support like music therapists, and really supports anybody that kind of needs an instrument. But we try to it's geared more towards trying to help like kids, kids in cancer centers and stuff like that, and music therapists, because the founder of Blue Star Connection, his name was John Catt. John started out by like he was in a like children's hospital or something, and a kid asked for a ukulele or a guitar, and he goes, well, what color? And he said green or something like that. And so he went out and bought one and gave it to the kid, Colin. I think Colin was the first one. And it just lit the kid up. And Colin ended up recovering from his ailment. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen for everybody.
Right.
So John just started going, man, that feels good. Let's do that. And so then he started getting more stuff, and he started this little charity, and people would then donate guitars, and he would get those guitars to some other kid that needed it. And John's philosophy was like, man, we'll just get you what you need. If you need something, we'll just get it. You know, like if a kid needs a ukulele because that's what he needs, just get the kid a ukulele. So John also started this thing called Blues from the Top up in Winter Park, Colorado. So every year it's a 3-day blues festival because John's a big blues fan.
I've been skiing there once.
Okay. So
1,000 years ago.
Winter Park. And every year they do a big blues fest. Last year was the first year post-pandemic that they actually had a big show. It was a great show. I was there. So funny story. Along with this, I'll do a sidetrack story because anybody that follows us know how I do. I start one story, sidetrack into a side quest, and then make my way back over to the original story. So,
I love side quests.
Yeah. So when I first moved back to Colorado, I was like, man, there's this blues festival up in Winter Park. That'd be cool to go to because there was like Joe Bonamassa and there was a couple other smaller. I think Tab Benoit was playing, and I'm like, man, I'd like to go see some of these guys, but I ain't got no money. So how am I going to go see this thing? So I go, oh, well, let me look. I'm looking at the website, and it says volunteer. I go, well, shit. So I put in an application to volunteer, and they said, yeah, if you can, so I went up there, and they're like, well, can you help us with the beer stuff? And I go, yeah, I bartended and ran restaurants. So yeah, I'll pour beer. The beer was like beer tent was straight shot to the front of the stage. Like,
that's what's up.
So they go, well, we do 4-hour shifts and then you switch out. And I go, listen, I'm coming up from Denver. Just put me on all day. And they're like, well, we don't want you to stay. We don't want you to do that all day. I go, I used to work in restaurants 14 hours a day, 8 hours of vacation. I'm outside listening to music and I'm like, can I have a beer? Because if I have a beer, that'll make it easier. And they're like, yeah, you can have a couple, just don't get loaded. And I go, right, excellent. So I did that for a couple of years, and at this festival, and it was really great. Come to find out, John Catt, the founder of the charity I've worked with for years now, was the guy that put that together. So a friend of ours put us together because he got somebody that donated a whole bunch of guitar cases to him, like 50 or 60 cases. So a mutual friend put us together, and me and John got to talking. And John said, "Hey, Ike, I need to get rid of these cases because I'm not in the case business. I'm in the giving guitar business." John was from like North Carolina or something. So that's my worst North Carolina accent. And I said, "Well, how about I'll buy all these cases off of you?" And so we came up with a number. I wrote him a check, and I sold those cases. That was part of when I was at the original warehouse.
I remember that.
Yes, I had a shit ton of those cases. And I said, well, I love because at the time I was looking for a charity to work with. Because I'm like, if I'm going to do something, I want to do good stuff too. Because that's good karma, but it's also a good person. Do good things for people. That's what we should do. So John says, well, hey, Ike, man, he goes, a lot of people say they want to help, but not everybody shows up. I took that to heart.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I'm showing up.
Yeah.
I'm going to show up. But it was funny because I already volunteered for a thing that was for the charity for the 2 years for that thing. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Anyway, so since then, I work with John, and we started helping. We started storing the guitars and then fixing the guitars that were donated. And then we would send those to, I've sent guitars to Children's Hospital in Atlanta, Children's Hospital in Minnesota. We've sent 30 guitars to music therapy convention. I think it was in Kansas City about 6 years ago. Well, since then, John has passed.
Right.
Unfortunately, because all the kids that have cancer, they call them blue stars. These are our blue stars. We take care of them. And so John was the oldest blue star. And unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago. And since then, myself and a bunch of people that were involved with the charity, keep it going.
Right.
I still store the guitars. We still fix the guitars. We still ship stuff all over the country to people that need it. And sometimes John always told me, I don't want nothing with dust on it, Ike. If somebody needs something, you give it to them. That's what he told me.
Yeah.
So when I don't get direction from the people that are running it, I always have John in the back of my head telling me, if somebody needs something and they need it, there's somebody that needs it, take care of them. So sometimes we have guitars left over, amps. We get all sorts of different stuff that gets donated. And sometimes I'll just give it to somebody because they need it. And that's it. So that's kind of what we do with the charity. So if you want to check it out, it's called Blue Star Connection for those of you that are watching or maybe watching later.
On the replay.
It's called Blue Star Connection, and that's a thing that we do. And we just continue to try helping out people that we can. And music therapy is great for people that are fighting cancer and all sorts of diseases. So that's what we do for the charities. On top of that, I've helped other things, organizations. I have a tendency to, when shit goes to shit in my life, I have a tendency to try to give stuff because I feel like the universe is telling me that I got to help somebody else.
Yeah.
So there's a website called donatechoose.org. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's a bunch of teachers that request things from all different, you can go on there and request, you could look at what teachers from all around the country need. So you could look at your community. So for me, I log in, I find Denver, then I go to the music section because that's where I can help. I can't help anybody out with math.
Right.
I can't help you with math. But so I go to the music section and I'll look at the teachers in the state of Colorado that need certain things. And there's been times where like, hey, we need 10 ukuleles because we're going to do, we're trying to establish a music program in our grammar school.
Right.
Sometimes I'll just send 10 ukuleles off to the school with a note like, I saw that you need these, and we just send them. So sometimes that's just shit I do.
Yeah.
because why not? Let's keep the music alive, like RNA music tells us to do.
Keep the music alive.
And you know what? It costs us a few $100, and that could change the life of some kids that need it in areas that need. Those kids may need that for whatever reason it is. For distraction or after-hour programs to help them keep them off the streets, or just to build their self-confidence and good, well-rounded folks.
You never know how something like that can affect somebody or a kid. And we've donated guitars. We've had guitars donated to us. I've had people like buy a guitar from us and like, hey, I'm gonna buy this guitar. I want you to give it to a student. I'm like, all right, okay, I can do that. They're always like, give it to a student who deserves it. I'm like, okay. That makes it a little more complicated because then I got to figure out, like, is this kid going to appreciate it? Because you have some kids who like, they got a nice guitar. Parents are not struggling, whatever. So I don't necessarily want to give a guitar to a kid who's like, they're taken care of. It's not an issue. And then you got some kids who take it real serious. That the perfect kid, in my opinion, is someone who maybe they're not the most financially whatever. Sometimes it's a struggle for even parents to do like a lesson thing program, but the kid is super into it. You can tell this is their outlet. And I'm like, they practice, when they come, you can tell when you're doing lessons, the kids come back in, you practice. I'm like, bro, you practice. They're like, yeah. I'm like, I can tell because from 7 days ago till now, you are really getting it, man. And you can tell the ones who are like, I'm like, you didn't practice, did you? They're like, no, I was really busy. I'm like, you're 12. Like, how busy are you? Right. How many hours did you work at your job this week? 50,
just because you practiced for 5 minutes yesterday, I can tell it didn't stick, man.
Right. But you get that. You get the kiddos or the adults who are like students who are like, they are into it, man. And I'm like, that's who I want to, give something like that to. That it, sometimes finding the right student or the right person. I always want to make sure it goes to the right person, but I guess it's something like that. You're talking about like sending off 10 ukuleles or whatever. It's like, well, you don't know. I mean, are 9 of those kids going to be like, forget it. But that one kid who's like, oh man, I got this ukulele and that started my journey. And then I moved into guitar and then like, that's my life,
Right. Well, sometimes it's a music program, like a school.
Right.
That's going to use those 10 to teach a bunch of kids.
Yeah, it's going to impact a bunch of kids.
I know that's going to impact a bunch of kids. Let's do that. We used to across from our current shop, there's a halfway house for teens that are, have addictions and such, and trying to work their way through the system. Some of the kids are, real hard cases, and then there's some kids that are just bad things have happened and they're trying to make their way through.
Yeah.
And we've had the guy that was over there was giving group guitar lessons, and we donated a number of guitars to them from the Blue Star stuff. And I'm like, hey, I had 5 acoustic guitars that we had of varying degrees of goodness, because some of them play really well, and then some are just like, man, this is one bad weather shift from being a playable guitar to firewood.
Right.
But if we can give it to somebody and they can use it and it works, that's good. But we've given some things to those folks, and that's helped some kids work their way through, because maybe they have addictions. And my thought is, and I don't know shit about psychology, about all that stuff, but my thought is, I know how I am. I play that every day.
Yeah.
Because part of it is when I'm frustrated, that also gets me through frustration, but it also frustrates me too. But I play it every day because I'm addicted to that thing.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that needs that. And so my thought is, if there's a kid out there that has maybe an addiction to something else,
right,
maybe we can fill that addiction with this stuff.
We can replace that with
the other side till he gets to a point where mentally they're stronger to move through this and get to a better spot in their life. So, you just never know.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to take it, but if you can get those people that you see that they grasp that, and it makes that impact to their life, then we should try to help them.
Yep.
You know, so
if you can give them a healthy obsession.
Yes. Well, I don't know how healthy this is because all of us are half broke because of the shit we own.
It may not be financially, but
it's better healthily body-wise.
Yeah, mental. It's mental therapy. I mean,
yes, mentally is better
for sure. Well, what's the? I know we talk, off and on about the new location. Do you have a potential ETA for grand opening ish? Maybe you can't. Maybe you can't say 100%.
I don't know yet. So basically, I know there's a few people here that watch our live stream that kind of know
what the FAQ.
Yeah, what the FAQ? What the fuck? They kind of know where, because we've been kind of updating people. So the building is essentially done as far as all the construction work that needs to be done through a contractor. We're literally waiting on the city of Denver to give us a couple permits. Change of use permit is the big one, so that we can get so we can get into the building.
Right.
The problem is we have zero idea when that's going to be. We have tried to inquire, and they gave us a date. It's a little further out than we thought, but they also gave us a date when they thought we submitted this stuff, and we're like, no, it was kind of before that. But how did we get these permits and we can't get this permit? Because wouldn't this be the first permit we would need? So, yeah, I don't know. I would like to be there by the 1st of June, or 1st of June. If it's the 1st of June, that's going to be way too long. I would like to be there by hopefully the 1st of January.
Oh, yeah.
I'm at the mercy of the city of Denver right now, unfortunately.
Bureaucracy. Yeah. Metalhead Hippie was saying, "Ike, where do I get a ram's head beanie?" He asked earlier about, I need a ram's head beanie. And I thought he was talking about Angela making a crochet beanie with ram horns. That's what I thought. And I was like,
I got one of those too. I got it's over there.
I was like, I don't know. She is crocheting some things right now, but it's for like herself and for other people.
I bet it's not a turkey beanie.
Ooh, probably not.
To break out the turkey beanie here this week.
You have to break it out.
Yeah, because it's at the shop.
I've been wearing my Under Armour one. I'm cheating on Angela's beanies with my. I got it's comfortable. This is tightly knit, so this is slightly warmer than the Lolly's Loops beanies.
Yeah, it is. I got the Lolly's Loop. I got mine in there, and it's a good one, but I can't wear it in the when it's blowing.
When it's sub-freezing.
Because this gets cold quick.
Yeah.
So this one actually helps keep it. Hey, but Metalhead Hippie, I'll see what I can do to get you one of these for next time we order electro harmonics.
Midnight Wind said, "Bribe the right people, Ike." LOL.
Next time I get an electro harmonics order, and I'll see if I can get one of these and get an extra one for you.
You got to bribe the right city officials.
I wish.
Your permits.
I don't have that kind of juice in this town, man.
If it were only that easy.
If I was back in New York, I might have a little bit more, option.
Out here, I know a guy who knows a guy who could talk to somebody about a thing.
In New York, I know a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy. He's got an extra vowel in his last name. You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. Hey, mind your business.
I'll talk to him about a thing I gotta go do.
What can I put in this hand that helps you make me put this other permit in this hand? You know what I mean? Hey?
Yeah. That's big city problems. Small town problems are like, did you get a permit for that? I'm like, what's a permit?
Right.
I mean, they don't.
My next door neighbor at the new building is like, I wouldn't get a permit for that. Just bulldoze that shit out of there. Because the guy next door is like 80 years old. And
yeah.
He's old school. And he's like, I just bulldoze that over. And I'm like, I can't, man. I just, because then if we do it and then they go, what's that? Take it out and do it again. I can't afford that.
Yeah.
Gotta be, everything's got to be above board on this because I don't want to, we don't want to we're going into a brand new building. We're growing as a business. The last thing we need to do is try to pull some dodgy shit
and get set
on it. And then they put us back. So
I was talking to a mutual friend of ours who's from California, and they have a shop where they build guitars. And he was saying like California's pretty crazy about permits and licensing and things like that too. And he was saying things are so crazy in California. I was like, they've got their stuff together, but like there's nobody to come check the permits.
Mm-hmm.
People are leaving or moving, or since lockdown and COVID stuff, there's like, oh, that permit dude hadn't been around in 2 years. Yeah, it's like there's no one around to check the stuff to make sure you crossed your T's and dotted your lowercase J's.
Yes.
So it's like, do we need to bother with this? Is somebody actually going to come check it? Because who knows?
When's that going to be?
Yeah.
You know?
It's going to be 5 years.
You know, that stuff can hold you up because right now I'm paying for I'm paying rent for the space we're in.
Right.
And I'm paying the mortgage for the building. And then that's also like double the utilities, double the insurance, because I got insurance on a building and the location. I got to pay for XL Energy, which is our energy here in Colorado.
Right.
For both places. You know, and I mean, it's just like, man, I need something to fall off so I can just go. And to be honest, it's been so long with the just going round and round with the contractors and the permits and getting this done. Like, I'm just ready to go back to running the shop and selling guitars and pedals. Like, I just want to go back to work, man. I just want to go back to worrying about how do we get this business to be a little bit better next year. I'm just tired of dealing with this stupid building, you know, and I need, like, I'm going to need a vacation, like a really good vacation.
I would say come to Texas. I don't know how good of a vacation it is. We'll go shoot some guns.
We could do that.
That's therapeutic.
I was talking to somebody and his brother lives in Canton. And I go, oh, tell them to go see my buddy Ryan at RNA. I can't remember, man, who was that? I was just talking to somebody, I don't remember, but it popped into my head.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. On vacation, you go to another guitar shop.
I do anyway. Like, anytime I ever go to vacation, first thing I do is I'm like, guitar store near me.
Yeah.
You know, and I like to go pop in and see what other stores are doing, because sometimes it's like, wow, that's a really cool way to display that shit. Yeah. Or that's a really cool thing you got there. Or that's cool. You know, or it's a brand that I haven't played. Or, you know, so I do like, or you walk in and you're like,
what is this?
How the hell are you all in business?
Right.
I went into this music store in Florida. I was down visiting my old man in Florida. And I had 4 music stores I wanted to go to. One of them was Wolf Guitars in Jupiter. Yeah. And I walked into that and I was like, oh man, you guys got some cool stuff. And then I talked to the owner and he showed me his Plek machine and all these cool guitars, and the guys were all super cool. We spent like an hour or so. My dad was bored out of his ass because he doesn't know shit about guitars. So he doesn't know anything. He's looking for golf clubs, you know, and it was really cool. But then we went into this other music store and I walked in and I was like, I feel like I'm going to get robbed in here. Like, it just felt dodgy and it was old and it was weird. And they had like, it was just a weird shop. And I don't remember where it was. I don't even remember where it was or what the name of it was. I wouldn't say it anyway, but it was just a weird old shop. And it felt dodgy. It almost felt like, you remember Pulp Fiction?
Yep.
It felt like the pawn shop in Pulp Fiction that he walks into and has all those problems.
Yes.
That's what it felt like. And I was like, I think I'm going to go.
I got to go.
It just felt weird.
Yeah.
But
when I went down to Austin earlier this year to hang out with Adam for a little bit, I was like, take me to a cool guitar shop. So like we went and hit the mom and pop, the local places that have been there for a while. So that was pretty cool. Kind of same thing. I don't want to go see a Guitar Center because they're all the same.
There's nothing fun there.
Yeah, I don't want to go see a chain. You've seen one, you've seen them all, but I'm like, what's the cool? Because every place has got even if there's more than one guitar shop, there's one that's the coolest. that you want to go?
There's always one that's got a good kind of energy or a good vibe to it, or it's got unique stuff or something interesting to go check out.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing you got to do for going back to people. If somebody wants to open a guitar shop, you know, you gotta figure out what's your angle, and it's hard to compete. Like, you don't necessarily want to compete with. I think the struggle is if you want to carry the stuff that the big boys, the Sweetwaters and the Evil Empire and everybody carries, that's your competition for selling those brands sometimes. The problem with carrying brands that aren't in the big boy stores is how good is that brand, and how long is it going to be around and what's their service like? So
if you could find like a second tier brand or a third tier brand that is really good, it just hasn't reached that status yet. Like, so for us, we carried Reverend.
Yeah.
Before Guitar Center carried them, or before Shitwater carried them. Once they carried them, everything seemed to slow, of course, because everybody just thinks that they get the best thing from them for some reason. I don't know. You know, I'm not a big fan.
I know what you're saying.
But, we carried Reverend for years, but people that knew Reverend knew.
Right.
So you can find brands that have a really good quality, have good quality, good reputation, but maybe aren't being carried by the big boys. Because what we started to do with the pedals is I started looking around. Oh, nobody carries Earthquaker? Boom, Earthquaker. Nobody carries Walrus? Walrus. Nobody's carrying Strymon? Strymon. You know what I mean? Like, we had to get, we didn't get Boss until we already had a dozen other brands.
Right.
We got Boss after we already established ourselves with all this other stuff. MXR was my first big one, like I said. But I started picking up small boutique brands that had a good following. So if anybody in Denver wanted to get Earthquaker, they had to come to us.
Right.
If anybody wanted to get Walrus, they had to come to us. So that made us unique. And now what's grown out of that is that our store we have so many pedals. We are kind of the pedal shop.
You're the guys.
Yeah. So along with the guitars and other cool stuff that we have, but we do have the largest pedal selection in the state for sure.
Which is, I mean, that's an attraction. Like, people like, I mean, I tell people all the time, like, I got a friend in Denver's got a guitar shop. They're like the pedal guys of Colorado. What? Yeah. They got like all the pedals. So you've kind of built that. Not that you don't have other stuff,
right?
But you kind of have
you find something that makes your store unique. And even if you do predominantly lessons, there's something that could be very unique about it's the way you teach or how you teach or the things you teach, or you know what I mean? Like, there's ways to distinguish yourself. You have to find a way to distinguish yourself from the other brands, from the other stores, because otherwise you're just going to get lost in the swamp of, because online sales get, Sweetwater has advertisements for F and everything.
Oh,
hey, man, I want to pick. Okay.
Right. If I go into Google and I search for something, like I'm searching for a certain whatever, the very first thing I see is an ad from Sweetwater. And then I got to scroll down just to find the company that makes the thing.
Right.
Before you find, ESP guitars, actual ESP website, you see a Sweetwater ad at the top for ESP.
I mean, they did.
You're not going to outspend them.
Yeah, they did what, 300 million last year or some crazy shit like that. I don't even know. I can't even imagine what that number even looks like.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you have that kind of dough, you're throwing, what's their monthly budget for advertising? It's got to be $50,000 to $100,000.
Oh, it's got to be
advertise everything.
It could be millions of dollars.
It could be. So, the way you're going to compete with something like that is you have to be unique. That's why this whole internet thing is cool too, because people get to connect directly to a store like me, like yours, and like other small companies. You have a direct access where things get lost in the mix when you start getting that big.
Yeah, it does for sure. It's crazy how the internet, they talk about this a lot in the music industry. Like, there's no gatekeepers anymore. Like, well, if I can just get a record deal, it's like, well, just record your music, put it out there.
Yeah, you can put it on YouTube, and all of a sudden you're famous.
If it's good, people will come, find it. If it's mediocre,
rises to the top, baby.
Yeah, I mean, maybe your music's not as good as you think it is, or maybe whatever. But the gates are open. You're able to put what you do out there for people to find.
Mm-hmm.
It's not behind a paywall. It's just And I was just thinking of something. It's like, you don't always have to be better than somebody else. You just have to be different.
Yeah, you just got to be unique and do your thing, and whatever that uniqueness is, people will gravitate towards.
Yeah.
I mean, we try to have really good customer service. We make sure everybody feels comfortable. We're not pretentious. We're humble, because none of us are like some super gifted guitar player that, it's like we're amazing and look at us. None of us are like that. We all play and we all have our own unique style. But we also realize that everybody is on a different path on their journey.
Yeah.
Some people just started yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to treat you like you're shit because you don't know what a humbucker is.
Yes.
But some places do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. It's a relationship, not a transaction. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's it right there. Midnight Wind. And
Midnight Wind also said, he said, Ike needs a break. That is true. I do. Well, right under that said, on the bright side, he's not a corporate slave.
Right.
And that's the truth. And to be honest, I make less money than I did when I started. I make less money now than when I worked as a manager in the restaurant business 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 100% happier.
That's what's up.
I work for myself. I do what I can for my staff. I try to treat them well. I treat them the way I want to be treated. That's I buy tickets. We go to shows. We do shit. I buy pizza. Like it's a family. It's not just, when you start getting bigger and bigger, you start becoming a spreadsheet, what I call a spreadsheet company.
Yeah.
That's what Amazon is. That's what Musician's Friend and, Guitar Center, and even Sweetwater has now become a spreadsheet company.
Yeah.
As things have changed.
Yeah. That's kind of the same. When we lived in Tulsa, I had a sales job for a big corporate type thing, company chain. And like, after I worked for Guitar Center, I got another sales job in a different industry that actually paid really well. And I made the most money I ever made in my life as an adult. I'm like, we make how much per year? Crap. I mean, again, it's probably not as much as people think, but for me at the time, it was like, this is a lot of money. Like, it was 3x what I was used to making. And, leaving that all behind and coming back home to take care of family and then starting from scratch, building a business. I still don't make as much now owning the business as I did as an employee for that company. I work more hours, but I also love it more.
Oh, yeah.
I love my job. I can have a day where I've had everything went wrong, trying to get the car inspected, and then the tags were out, and then the tires. What I got to do a thing? Oh, Jesus, and then going through all this stuff. I'm like, all right, I got to go to work. I'm like teaching a kid. Do you know how to play Enter Sandman? Yes, and we're gonna learn it right now. Like, as soon as I start teaching, it's like, after my uncle passed away like a month, 2 months ago, and it was like we had to go out of town, do the funeral. I had to like talk and like do the thing. I was the guy up in the thing doing the funeral. It was interesting and like crazy weekend. Then coming back home, like, all right, I gotta go back to work. And like, 'cause I missed 2 days of teaching because of all the stuff. And then like the Monday I was back, first student that came in, I'm like, all right, let's go. And I'm like, started teaching and playing it. I was like, immediately put me in a better mood. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, again, what we do, it's interesting. You're talking about how you started. It was buying and selling and retail. And that's been your game as you go. You've made me nervous over the years. I'm sitting here, we're talking and like, you got to sell some stuff. to pay the electric bill this month
Yeah.
and buy groceries. It's like, we need to move some units because we got to pay the bills. And I'm like, if I don't sell another guitar or another piece of gear ever, it doesn't really matter for me because we teach and we have a pretty full roster of students. So, we've from the beginning built our RNA music on it's like really a music lesson studio that sells stuff.
Right.
And I've tiptoed out there deeper into more retail and online stuff. And sometimes you get your toes bit off. They're like, I'm going to tiptoe back out a little bit because I don't want to sacrifice my attention for my students and the education side to sell another guitar that I'm going to ship somewhere. We still sell stuff. I love gear, so I'm going to still have that. But, we kind of approach the business from two different angles, But if all of our students quit tomorrow, it'd be like, I need to sell some guitars.
Well, that's why we've, because we want to do lesson stuff too, but we, like you said, we've kind of built it on the retail side of it. But that, both sides have their challenges.
Yeah, for sure.
You have your challenges with the lesson stuff, and we have our challenges on the retail side. In the same thing, we've dipped our toes in the water of lessons. The problem is we don't have the space. We'll be dipping back in once we get to the new place.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like an equivalent to you teaching to the student, it's interesting when me and the dudes will go to a show and we're like, oh, we sold that dude most of his pedal board. So we go to see a show at a local club and the guy's playing the stuff he bought from us, or we know that that amp, I sold that amp to that dude. But then we also, Troy Van Leeuwen was in the shop last week.
Yeah.
From Queens of the Stone Age.
Mm-hmm.
And he bought this old Ibanez. Sorry, Dave's eating something. I'm like, what you eating? He bought, because I don't know with him. He's a dingo.
He can eat anything.
But he bought this old Ibanez multi-effect from way back in the early 80s. That was one of the original ones. And so we know, he's like, oh, we're going to use this on the next album. This thing's awesome. He's like, this thing's like 80s in a box. And I go, so we're all kind of that's cool. We just sold a thing to a dude that's going to put this out for thousands of people to hear.
Right.
So it's a very cool feeling when it's the same equivalent to you teaching. We have that piece that's man, that's cool. We have roundabout some way, somehow we get to affect other people to be creative. You get to teach them how to be creative. Mm-hmm. We get to sell them stuff for them to be more creative too. It's really cool,
Yeah, I got to go out the other night, a couple weekends ago, in which we have some students that are they're in their 20s. One of them I'm giving keyboard lessons to play rock keys in their band, and the other student I've given him a couple of guitar lessons, but he's taking some voice lessons from Angela so he can do backup vocals on their songs and stuff. They play original music, and I went and watched their thing. Hey, we're playing a show in Ben Wheeler. It's a small country thing, and it's a Halloween show. Do you want to come out? Yeah, I'll come watch you guys. I don't go out for live music very much because by the time I'm done here, I'm
yeah,
I'm kind of done.
You're old. You're getting old.
I'm getting old. I did go see the Warefoot band that without Adam. All the other guys from Warefoot have a band, different singer. And so I went to see them because I'm friends with them too. And they're like, hey, we're playing in Tyler. Come see. I'm like, normally I don't go out at night anymore.
You got pictures. That was a cool looking venue.
It's pretty rad. Zach Wilde was supposed to play there a couple of months ago with Jared James Nichols and Nita Strauss. And that all fell through. I wasn't.
The one out of the three I'd like to go see.
Jared James Nichols. He's hot.
No.
Oh, Zach.
No.
Oh, Nita. Yeah. Well, she's all right. She's no Zach Wilde.
Well, I've seen Zach before, and I can do the whole show is this. Viking. He was good. Don't get me wrong. It was good.
Yeah. I know.
But I think I saw one Black Label Society show was enough for me. I'm like,
and if you've seen one Black Label show, you've probably seen them all.
Pretty good. I'd like to see Nita because I like the way she plays, and she's not she's easy on the eyes too. So
I've never seen her live. I've never seen Jared James Nichols live.
I've never seen him live. We did have one of his guitars in the shop. We just sold it.
I saw him. Cool. He did a video the other day with Marty Schwartz. It was him and Marty Schwartz.
Huge man.
And I was watching the video. Did I send that to you? I sent that to some. I went into somebody. I'm like, either Jared James Nichols is
that was me,
huge, or Marty Schwartz is not very big.
And I told you he's huge. So I got a friend of mine who he's got a hookup over at the Whiskey in LA, and he's open for like Robbie Krieger and a whole bunch of other bands and stuff. And so he was on a bill recently with Jared James Nichols, and he sent me a picture, and I was like, because Zach comes in our shop, so I know how tall he is. He's a skinny kid. He's a skinny guy, but he's tall.
Yeah.
And he sent a picture, and I go, how big is that man? I'm like, how big is he? Holy shit. And he goes, oh yeah, he's a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
So he's a fairly large individual.
Yeah, because he's not, I was looking at it and I'm like, he's got to be huge. And he's not skinny, because you can be tall and skinny, but he wasn't skinny.
Yeah. I met Marty Schwartz before too at the NAMM show. He was walking around with a gin and tonic.
Oh,
he was half shit bummed, but he was just really nice. I'm like, hey Marty, and he goes, hey man, how you doing? And I go, good. How are you enjoying the show? And he's like, great. What are you doing, man? What are you checking out? Any cool? And like, we just automatically just started having a conversation, and he was incredibly nice dude.
Yeah.
He's not a small guy, but I think I'm taller than he is, and I'm 6'1".
Yeah.
So he's probably like, he might be 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah.
I'm guessing, but super nice guy.
Yeah. I saw that video. I was like, what? He is giant, or Marty is tiny.
No, he's a big dude.
It's probably like when I'm standing next to Nicholas.
Yeah.
Because Nicholas is like freaking 6'7".
Yeah, and you're not short.
Yeah. I'm like 6'1.5", 6'2", 6'1 3/4. Yeah. Nicholas, when I see pictures, I'm like, I look like a little dude next to
yeah, you got gigantic children, man.
Yeah, you haven't seen Aiden in person in a long time.
It's been what, 4 years since I've been down?
Yeah. Oh, dude. Aiden is like a freaking lineman. He's like 6'5".
Yeah, you have huge children, bro.
Like 285. He's just like Aiden's just like run you over. Like, I'm like, bro, I can barely get my arms around him. He's just such broad back and shoulders, and he's like lifting weights like all day, his biceps for days. I'm like, son, carry me around, please.
You just got to need them walking near you. Like, bring you to the NAMM show and have them walk beside you, and everybody's going to think you're like a big they're going to think you're Billy Gibbons.
Yeah, I'm going to get them jackets and like earpieces and sunglasses. Like,
you got to get Angela to make a hat like she made me.
Yeah.
And then have those two guys walk next to you, and then everybody's going to think you're Billy Gibbons. Just put some shades on. I'll give you this guitar, man. If you carry this guitar with you, everybody's going to think.
I'm getting the wrinkles. I'm starting to look like I'm 70.
Yeah, well, I'm getting them too, man. I ain't getting any younger, that's for sure.
He's like the coolest dude in the universe, man. Because I'm like, I wish I was like 1/4 as cool as Billy Gibbons, man.
Well, that's why I built that. That's why I got you've seen this Texas Toast guitar, right?
I think. Oh yeah. The flannel top one.
Oh yeah. So that's there's a reason why I got that. I made that one just because I was like, I got to be cool like Billy.
He's freaking cool. He's cool as poop. I don't think you can be cooler than Billy Gibbons.
I saw a question in here from Metalhead Hippie.
Oh, where was?
Oh, yeah. There it is.
Ike, how do you get companies to sell exclusively to you, like Stomp Underfoot?
So they don't sell just to us, but they make an exclusive pedal for us. And actually, we got another one in the works. I've been talking to Matt. So basically, some companies will do exclusives with you, and some companies just won't. The big guys will, but it's a way bigger thing. So if I wanted to do a special run of G&L guitars, I could.
Yeah.
I would just have to buy, 50.
Yeah.
Or if I wanted to do it with Fender, I could do it with Fender too, because you've seen it with like Guitar Center,
Mhm.
Chicago Music Exchange, Sweetwater. You know, the advantage of doing that is they have to go to you to get it. So
Right.
like for us, we do the Demogorgon, and we've done 2 versions. We've done 3 versions actually of the Demogorgon now. Which started out because we're like, let's do a cool pedal that we want, but we don't have to buy 50 of them. So I talked to them and they said, you know, Matt's a really cool dude. It makes really killer pedals. So we did an exclusive with him, and it's the Demogorgon's done well. We've sold a decent amount of those pedals. We got another one coming. It's just approaching the company and seeing what they're willing to do and how many you have to do it. I have 2 other guitar companies or pedal companies that we've talked to about doing exclusives. One is just going to be an exclusive color for Flipside, and the other one is maybe doing a specific color but adding like one little thing.
Yeah.
You know, but their requirements are much bigger, and
Yeah.
the check is a lot bigger. So
Yeah. I've eyeballed that before. My guy I was talking about from Boogie Street Guitars, that was his whole thing. Like he picked one brand, it was Washburn, because he could get in with them. And they were like, you're saying, they're not, Washburn is not Gibson, Fender, PRS.
right, but they're a big brand.
Yeah, and especially back then, I mean, at Nuno Betancourt, at Dimebag Darrell, he was doing Washburn stuff when Dime was with him and Nuno, and you know, and then later Paul Stanley from a little band called Kiss.
Never heard of him.
You know, and so his thing that he shot for was, I can't do everything, but I could be the #1 Washburn guy.
All right, hang on. All right, you guys, because apparently Dave got
He's got to do some stuff. All right.
He's got some business to take care of. Let me get him outside. I'll be back.
All right. We'll be right here.
All right. Come on, Dave-O.
My guy that I followed, Eric McKenna at Boogie Street Guitars, his goal is to become the #1 USA custom shop Washburn dealer. So if you wanted a USA made Washburn in that time, the mid 2000s, like he was the guy. Like Scott Ian from Anthrax, Dimebag Darrell, like he did, and all the USA stuff. And there weren't very many people, because at the time there wasn't maybe a massive, huge demand for Washburn. But he did, like, if you wanted a Nuno Betancourt guitar, if you wanted a Dime guitar, if you wanted a Scott Ian guitar, he was the guy. And then he did limited dealer run things on the import side, because USA custom shop stuff, Washburn was still pretty pricey stuff. It wasn't cheap because it was custom shop USA, but he basically built his business on the back of picking one brand and becoming the guy for that brand, and I always kind of remembered that. And I was like, that was a pretty smart way to do it, and if you wanted a custom, he did his own custom designs, but he had to buy 50 of them on the import side to make it worth doing. USA runs, you could get runs of 5 or 10 or 13 custom shop USA guitars, which are a lot more money,
but it's
still some money. Yeah,
you got to be able to have that. The thing is that sometimes you can do that stuff. It's just, do you want to set aside that much cash out of your cash flow for it? Now, if you have the clientele that's going to snatch them up right away, absolutely. But that doesn't always work that way.
Right.
And then, it may take 3 months to get rid of that. And is that going to hurt you? Yeah.
Or it might take longer, which is if you got about 40 of the same guitar, are you going to be able to sell all 40, or are you going to be able to sell 15?
Right.
And
you got to be able to hit that customer base.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we got a guitar company here or guitar store here, not too far from us up in Boulder, Wildwood Guitars.
Right.
They do the Wildwood thin skin, whatever thing with Fender, and it's successful, but they have that customer base that that's ready to drop $5,000 on a Strat in a second.
Ugh.
I've known I know guys locally that have bought multiple guitars from them that are over $3,500.
Oh man.
You know, I have a friend personally who bought a $5,000 Les Paul from them, and I was like, "Damn, son, that's a lot of money."
That is a lot of money.
You know, and at the time, he wasn't much of a player. But I think part of that, honestly, what I've noticed is sometimes when you get to that level of, hey, this is a $6,000 custom shop, whatever, it's not necessarily players.
Right.
It's I kind of play when I have a lot of extra money, and that's a pretty guitar that's going to hang on my wall.
Yeah, and I like it, and it makes me happy.
Yeah, and so God bless him.
Sure.
You know, knock yourself out. If you want to buy a $6,000 guitar and you can't play for fuck all, go ahead, man. Oh, sorry.
I was telling someone the other day, it's like that, you know, that doesn't bother me. Like, I don't get mad that there are dudes or dudettes, but mostly dudes who buy guitars that they not necessarily great players, but I'm like, who cares? Like, I posted that. I'm on this Facebook. Facebook is a cesspool sometimes, but I'm in a freaking Les Paul group on Facebook. It's like the Les Paul guitar group, because I stumbled across one of their posts of a cool 70s Les Paul with the something neck and whatever, and I was like, what is that? And I want to leave a comment like, oh, you have to be part of this group. I'm like, well, why am I seeing this if I'm not even in this group? Why is this on my page?
Right.
So I joined up because I wanted to comment, and I was like, I have a Les Paul. I have a Les Paul Standard from 1996. I'm a Les Paul owner. And now like every third post on Facebook is the Les Paul group. But whatever. Some guy on there was talking about he found this nice Les Paul he wanted to buy. I mean, it's like a standard. It was like $2,300 for like a first guitar. And he's like, I don't know if I deserve it because I'm whatever. And people were leaving all their comments and stuff. And I was like, forget about that crap. I mean, do you have to be a race car driver to buy a sports car? I was like,
no.
I want to buy a Corvette. Well, do you drive professionally fast? No, I just like Corvettes. Okay. Well, you really shouldn't buy one unless you can race in the Indy. You know, no one gives a crap.
Sometimes, like, if it's your first car, I just turned 16. I'm getting a Corvette Z, whatever. You know, then you're like,
okay, now that's a douche move. Don't buy your 16-year-old a high-end Corvette.
But it happens, man. You know as well as I do, it happens. That we've seen it at the store, and they're like, oh, it's his first guitar. We're gonna get him this American Professional 2 Telecaster, and we're like,
yeah, I don't know about that.
Can you adopt me? Because that's cool. You know what I mean? I'm like, I played an import G&L.
If you're a grown man and you've always loved music and guitar, and you want to buy a guitar because you didn't get to learn when you were a kid, and you want to buy a freaking $4,000 Les Paul, I was like, you can go buy one. I don't give a crap.
If you can afford it, if you got that kind of cash to throw at a thing like that, go ahead.
It's not like I'm now not going to be able to buy that $4,000 Les Paul because you bought it. I was like, I wasn't even going to buy it to begin with
in the first place. Yeah.
I mean, I want to.
You didn't snatch it out from me.
Right. It's not like, oh man, I was going to buy that, and that dude snatched it. But, or you're not going to buy a $3,000 computer. Like, well, are you a professional computer programmer? Do you program computers for a living? Well, no, I just, stare at YouTube videos.
I just want something nice. Yeah.
Well, you should just go to Walmart and get you one of the $200 Chromebooks. Then you don't need a $2,000 Mac.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like if you can afford it, I get it. Go ahead. It just, but it's funny because we get a lot of times we get players that come in and they're like, yeah, I'll just try that. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
There's guys, and we've had customers that have come in and they're like, oh, we had one guy. I only play American Strats. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'd like to try this, electronic or electric harmonic soul food. $80 pedal. Like, so I'm supposed to give you an $1,800 guitar to play an $80 pedal because all you play is American Strats. Right. I just found the whole situation funny. I only play American-made Stratocasters. Okay, here you go, man. We get you all set up, and it's like, you know, and then you get this move. Wait. No, wait. And I'm like, man, are you for real, bro? Like you basically demanded all you play is American strats, and you can't do like cowboy chords at least.
Why
So
didn't
it's one of those situations like, all right, to each his own, man. I'm gonna let it go.
Why didn't you bring your Strat from home to test this pedal? You should do that. Maybe
we do suggest that to people from time to time. We're like, maybe it's just, you know, you got to put it in your own rig, because we let people come in. Like, if you want to, you got your pedal board and you want to try this new fuzz, sure, man. Bring your board in, your guitar, plug it in, test it out. Go ahead. You know, because sometimes things don't play well together. I get it. But it's sometimes in those cases where, like I said, with the guitar thing, it's like, dude, come on, man.
Yeah, that's
Can't
funny.
be demanded I only play Les Paul classics, and then you can't play for shit. Come on, man.
Yeah. On that same comment, I commented about that. I'm like, you can buy whatever you want. I don't give a crap. I was like, you know, I had to count them up, like how many USA guitars I personally own. I think it's 7. I think I have 7 USA guitars, and then like 14 or 15 import guitars.
I'm looking around here going, how many USAs do I have?
Yeah.
Because some of my favorites aren't.
Right. Well,
some of my favorites are imports.
Yeah.
Like this one. You know, this is a beat up, made in Mexico, basically parts caster telly that I put together. It's one of my favorite guitars to play. You know, and
I've got 2 Gibsons. I have a Gibbon Explorer and I have a Gibson Les Paul standard. I got 2 CMGs, which are, you know, USA, but they're I would say CMG is affordable.
Oh yeah,
for sure, compared to everything else.
I got one too. It's a really nice guitar.
I've got the S2, which is you know, the budget friendly PRS, but it's still American made PRS. And then I have a USA Washburn, which would be, you would compare it to like a Les Paul Studio. So it'd be that grade of a Washburn USA, but Les Paul Studio grade, back when the studios were good. And then I have a USA Custom Shop Washburn, which is like would be crazy expensive if you bought it back when it came out brand new. But I play my freaking Korean PRS and my Schecters probably more than anything else.
Yeah, I'm in a very similar, you know, my G&L S500 and my G&L ASAT, which are both tributes. I play those all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I have that made in Mexico telly that I play a lot. I have a 72 Greco Telecaster Deluxe. Yeah. So 50 some odd years old. And that was made, I think, in Fujigen.
Yeah.
So I'll play that guitar all the time. But I do have, you know, I got a J45, 77 J45 Gibson that I bought at a garage sale, by the way. $75.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I had to get the neck reset and that cost me some dough, but it still was killer. Yeah. A friend of mine did the neck reset. But that's a USA. I have my original USA Strat that I bought in 98. I have another USA Strat that walked in the shop, and I'm not even that much of a Strat guy, but it played, and I don't even like red.
Right.
But it played so well that I couldn't.
You're like, I gotta buy it.
As soon as I played it, I knew I had to have it. And I was like, because it's like a salmon-y sort of salmon-y. Well, it's very faded at this point. It was probably Fullerton red at one point.
Metalhead Hippie says, I have 0 USAs. I'm like, you know, like I said, I've gone. Maybe it's gonna be, maybe it's when I add something.
I'm like, help me, I've gone blurry.
Got to beat us. Well, you know, I think I don't know if it's an ego thing or whatever, because again, we're told that the USA stuff is whatever, better, or it's whatever, it's great. And then you get it, and like, yeah, it's great. I mean, it is great. But you know,
you can squeak out a lot of good stuff out of you could get a classic vibes Squire and do a lot of really good work with that too.
Yeah. So I think the line between good and good and great has never been narrower between
Well, I
them.
mean, I think it's the diminishing returns.
Yeah.
The difference between $100 guitar and a $300 guitar is pretty big.
Yes.
$300 to $700 is fairly big.
Yeah.
$700 to $1,500 is going to be lesser. $1,500 to $3,000 is going to be smaller. $3,000 to $8,000 is going to be even smaller.
Minute.
Yeah, it's.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. That's why I've played some expensive guitars and go, that's nice. I'm not that. My car's not worth that. But cool.
That's what's difficult. Yeah. I want expensive guitars. I definitely want some $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, but I'm like, am I actually going to play it more than any of my other whatever? I mean, maybe for like 2 weeks.
I think it's a matter of you bond with certain ones.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's 29 guitars in here right now. So, but
you're winning.
5.
Yeah.
Like 5 I play consistent. This one I play a lot. The other G&L, my Texas Toast, Duchess, that Telly Deluxe, like I play those in my Greco. I play those the most.
Yeah.
Because they do it. I don't have I don't even think I even have one shred machine in here.
Yeah.
I do. I have a Mars Music 2001 special edition Squire Super Strat.
Oh wow.
Well, I played it it got traded in, and I was like, this stupid thing.
Yeah.
And then I plugged it in, and I was like,
I want it.
This stupid thing. I'm keeping it. Yeah, and I just decided I put better pickups in it, but it's a great little guitar for what it is.
Great. Like I play this Korean Tremonti SE more than I play my S2. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know that I don't play any better on the more expensive guitar.
No, some stuff I play different. Like it feels like I have different ideas on.
Yeah.
Because of the feel, but
the Telly feels different than everything else.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, when I play a Les Paul, that feels a little bit different, or or one of the semi hollows, something like that. I got a Epiphone 335 as well, like right here.
Oh yeah,
this one I got because it was just gold. I'm like, that's cool looking. I gotta have it.
Gold.
And it's got a big old fat neck for my giant hands.
Oh, your giant bear paws. I've been thinking lately about, because I do have a few guitars at this point, and I think my tastes are getting more expensive as I get older. I don't know why. I don't know, but I'm like, I want I want a core PRS just because I want one, and I want to get. I'm still gonna get myself. Yeah, I got champagne dreams and beer budget, but I keep thinking like, all right, I could trade in some of these Korean, guitars. If I traded in enough of them, I could probably get a fancy guitar, a fancier, whatever.
Fancier, yeah.
However, what if I don't absolutely just love the crap out of that fancy one, and I've just traded off 4 or 5 ones that I really liked to get a nice, quote, nicer one? Am I going to regret it?
Don't trade the ones you like.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. I gotta like all of them.
Well,
even if I don't play all of them all the time, I like all of them.
See, I have a few in here that I don't play enough that are on the chopping block.
Yeah,
that are great guitars, and I like them, but I just think I'm like, I got number one. I have too many. I don't need this many. I just don't.
Yeah,
I want them. I just don't need them. So there's a few that are on the chopping block because I haven't played them enough, or they're not unique enough for me to keep. Like I got a shitty little. I have a Telecaster that's a resonator.
Oh wow!
From China, because apparently Chinese are the only ones that had the same idea as me, and they made it. And I bought it for like $280.
Oh wow.
But it's so unique, and for the price, I can't get rid of it.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, no. Every time somebody looked at me, where'd you get that thing? I'm like, China,
Yeah.
TH Gate or Alibaba Express or something like
Something
that.
like that.
I was just hoping that I would actually get it because it took like 2 months before it got here.
Oh wow.
I spent the money, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna go.
Maybe it'll show up.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. It's probably I might have lost my money. But I hope I get it. And I got it, and it was awful.
Oh,
The fret ends were just god awful. So I had to do a fret level and crown and all that stuff and new nut. But it's pretty good now.
nice. It needed some work when you got it.
Yeah, but it's fun now. You know.
Yeah. I've got one or two that I might sell. I've got a Schecter that I bought that I didn't love it when I think because it came with the Duncan actives pickups, and they sound like crap. I don't know if there's something wrong with them because I changed the battery even, and I was like, they still sound like crap. And I'm like, do I want to swap the pickups in this thing and put EMGs in it?
You know,
I could.
You know, you do.
Yeah, it feels good, but you know, I hardly ever play it because it sounds like garbage. I think there might be something wrong with those Duncan blackouts, but I'm not sure.
Those usually sound pretty good, so maybe there is something wrong.
There's got to be something wrong because you can't hardly get any good clean sound out of it at all.
No, that could be something wrong because I've heard those before and they're pretty good.
Yeah, it's real gritty, and I'm like, this doesn't seem right. So I barely played it, but I've also don't have time to like, all right, let me swap the pickups and do all the stuff to it. I'm like, well, I don't have time for that. But I also haven't got rid of it. But
I think it's a tough prospect to get rid of guitars.
Yeah.
But hang on one second. I gotta let that guy out because it's cold outside.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to freeze his little pecker off.
Metalhead Hippie says, Ryan, what are the best, newest toys, guitars out there you think that everyone should look into? Oh man. That's a good question, Metalhead Hippie. New guitars. I'm trying to think if there's something new that's really caught my attention lately. The thing that recently that I've been kind of interested in is if you can get a guitar. I bought the Schecter earlier this year it's an electric guitar, semi-hollow, but it has a piezo in it. And I really like that because you can split the signal coming out, run it to 2 amps, have an acoustic sound in 1 amp or a PA, and then your electric sound. You can blend those two sounds. I've had a lot of fun with that, and I like that. And if you're gigging and playing and you need an acoustic sound for like an intro, and then you need to go to electric, you know, and an electric guitar equipped with a piezo is like, that's a pretty cool thing to play around with if you haven't ever done that. I don't know. Metalhead Hippies was, hey Ryan, Ike Ryan, what are the best, newest toys or guitars out there you think everyone should look into? I was kind of like, I don't know.
That's a tough one.
It was. I was stumped. I said for guitars, like I don't know about brands or models or whatever, but I talked about I got that electric guitar with the piezo built into it.
Oh yeah.
You split the signal out, and I would just like I have an acoustic. I have a Fishman acoustic amp. I'll run to, and then run the other one to like the Mesa Boogie or whatever, and like, you know, you got this acoustic intro, and then you can go to the ripping heavy stuff, and like it's super fun. I really enjoyed playing with it.
I was thinking about doing that to a Telecaster. I got a body in my shop. I was thinking about buying the Fishman setup.
Yeah.
And doing exactly that because I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of fun, you know, to have the option to do both.
Yeah.
So, but as far as newest toys,
I don't know that I've seen anything new that just blew my brains. Everybody should get a wireless.
Wireless is good.
You should have
the new Black Star Amped 1 amp is pretty cool. We got a couple of those in. I thought those were pretty cool.
You sell Black Star?
Yes.
Okay. I got a student. This is a question for Anthony. Well, go ahead and finish the toys. Black Star.
So I think that's a cool new thing. I'm trying to. Everybody's got like new pedals that come out every other day.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to keep track, and I'm trying to think of anything that's like super unique that has come out recently that, like, blows up my skirt. I thought that one was a cool thing. I don't, right offhand, I can't think of anything. I'm a wee bit stumped.
I got one of the students I was just talking about who's in the band. He's the guitar player that I went to go out and see them. He texted me the other day. He plays through an orange, like a Crush 60, whatever. Pretty good size, solid state orange amp. And they play rock stuff. I mean, they play like Soundgarden songs. They play Nirvana songs, stuff. But he was texting me the other day, and he said, I'm going to ask you this. And he's like, what was it? He's asking about the Marshall Origin combo. And I'm like, I don't know much about that. And I don't really like
Marshall dealer too.
I'm not a big Marshall fan necessarily. I've tried some, and I'm like, even some like nice ones, and I'm like, I don't know. It's got a distinct sound, and you got to like that. And like Orange has a very distinct sound, and Fender has a distinct sound, and Mesa Boogie has a sound,
Yeah.
And he said he thinks he's going to sell his Orange and get a tube amp of some kind. He's looking at takes pedals well, up to heavier distortion. Any suggestions? And I was like, you got a budget? And he's probably under $1,000. And he's like, he could probably go over if it's something he really likes. And I was like, combo or head and cab? And he said, preferably combo because he's used to that. But he's not opposed to a head and cab. So
if he wants to go Marshall, I would go more the DSL. I prefer the sounds of the DSL series over the Origins. We carry Marshall.
Okay.
And I plugged in the
Red?
I prefer the DSLs personally. The Origins haven't sold as well as we thought we're going to. The DSLs we can't keep.
Wow.
I think I got two 20s in stock, and I'm waiting on 40s to come in. So that's kind of my preference in the line. I do like the smaller Silver Jubilees, and the stuff that they. Oh yeah, there you go. The Silver Jubilee sounds good. The smaller ones, those are cool. But it's also, like you were saying, if you're looking for that sound,
right?
And that's going to be a very 80s leaning direction. I lean a little bit more towards the Fender side of things. If you want to go under 1,000 but you want to work stuff with pedals, this is one of the best to me, is the Blues Deluxe. 40 watts, plenty of power, can get loud as shit. It's got an effects loop and a master volume, so you can work it. And it's a flatter response than you're going to get from like a 65 Deluxe or something like that. And it takes pedals really well, and it can rock if you with the right pedals.
What do those go for? What's the street price on them?
They're about $1,000 now. They used to be cheaper, but Fender went.
Well, everything's going up.
Yeah, well, Fender went crazy in the last 2 years.
Oh wow.
So yeah, they raised the price. I think they were a little bit more aggressive than they should have been.
Yeah.
But I also don't know how Fender runs their shit. So
demand went crazy, so they thought, well, let's just go to meet it, probably.
Yeah, and I think a lot of companies are paying for that a bit, and I don't mean in like a terrible way. I think that they're starting to realize that. I mean, we all knew that at some point,
a bubble.
At some point, we're going to drop off a cliff, and we've seen that. So the demand that we had before isn't necessarily the demand we have now. And I'm not saying that things have slowed down to a halt. They certainly haven't.
Right. But it was
slowed down across the board, I think, on guitar sales. We're still selling the shit out of pedals but as the economy
shifts
doing its thing, it's a lot easier for somebody to go, hey, you know what, I'll buy that $200 pedal and have a good time with my tone than buy a $1,500 guitar.
Yeah.
So
there's ebbs and flows to that stuff. But
I think what it's doing personally is that we're just going back to pre-pandemic stuff.
Right.
Everybody went ape shit during the pandemic.
Yeah.
It all went, the whole world went nuts for all the stuff. And I think now we're just coming back to
normal.
Back to where it was. We're just going back to the normal pace of how guitars were selling. The thing is now I think we have more players because all those people that bought all those guitars during the pandemic, some of them are going to continue to play. It also prompted some people that used to play to get back into it because they had the time. So there's going to be a percentage of increase in players because of that.
The overall pool of players has gotten a little bit bigger.
Yeah, overall, but not to, we had this, like so big, and then now it's coming back to the normal size of what the guitar community, the consumer is. There's a few more, yes, and I think we'll see the people that stayed with it or returned to it. I think we're going to see more of an increase in stuff like pedals, accessories, interfaces, things like that they'll continue on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're getting back to the normal pace of new players.
Yeah. Well, it's like when
I don't know. I'm not a.
It's probably like when you have a YouTube video go viral. Like if you normally get 1,000 views per video, and you hit one that just clicked, and it got, say, 15,000 views. Like, dude, I got 15,000 views. Let's make the next video. You think the next video is going to get 15,000, and it doesn't. But it doesn't usually go back down to 1,000, which is your norm. It might go back down to 1,200.
Right.
Because you gained some people out of that spike, but then it returned. But it didn't return down to where it was. It returned down to slightly above what it was.
Right. And I think that's what we're seeing now I think it's just a market correction.
Yeah.
Plus we're seeing this economic downturn. So people are going to be, keeping shit a little bit closer to the breath, to the chest.
Yeah.
So I know we are as a company. We're being careful with what we're doing. We're like, you got to be smart. You got to listen to what's going on. You also have to filter through the sky is falling, and everything. Because we live in a climate now, and in a political climate where everything is just there's insanity on both sides, and you have to filter through a lot of the calamity to figure out what is actually going on and make the smartest move for your business. Because if you listen to some of these people, you might as well never leave the house because everything is on fire. You know what I mean? So
yeah, we're trying to keep things a little, even just personally in the household. Like I just paid off my truck, my Avalanche. Finally paid it off like 3 days ago. I'm like,
congrats!
Feels good to pay that off. But then I had to buy a bunch of new tires for the other car. So I was like, well, crap. But I'm trying not to go out and buy a bunch of stuff on credit because, again, who knows what's gonna happen in 23, which is right around the corner.
Right. And we're
I don't think everything's gonna just explode. Nuclear war. Barring nuclear war, I think everything is going to be fine, but people are probably going to be a little bit more cautious with their spending.
Yeah, and I'm old enough to remember when inflation was much higher than even what it is right now.
Yeah.
So it's just smart to watch what you're doing. Careful with your money. It doesn't mean you can't.
You're right.
Continue to invest, and it doesn't mean you can't continue to try to grow because there's a lot of companies that have been born out of inflation. You know what I mean? So you just have to be smart. Being willy-nilly about stuff, you could do that when times are insane.
When times are good.
When times are great, you can kind of almost trip over shit and do all right. You need to be a little bit more calculated and measured when times are tough or times get tough. And I think things will equal out. The Fed is doing their thing. So when they're being cautious, because if they say, hey, we're not going to raise it anymore, everybody goes, great, let's go buy shit. Well, then that screws it all up. So they may ride this out a little bit longer to level things out if that's the case, everybody needs to be smart. I just bought a Jeep, but I ordered it back in April.
Right.
You know, and I just got it 3 weeks ago. But what I did was I sold my other vehicle. Luckily, I have a cousin that owns a Jeep dealership, so I got a good price. So the delta between the two wasn't very much, and I'm basically like, all right, it's paid for because I sold the other car and I saved money while I was waiting for 6 months.
Yeah.
And now we're at zero. So there's a reason, because I'm like, I don't want to be making heavy payments if we got to watch what we're doing and all that other stuff. So
I definitely
cautious.
I definitely wouldn't take a risk now like I took in 2014 on store stuff.
No, I'm already thinking about, me and Dylan have been talking about dialing back making certain adjustments and shifts, and maybe pulling back on a couple companies that we have invested more in. We've invested more in them than they've invested in us.
Yep.
So I think at this point, what relationships you have in business are important. And we've got a couple companies that I got to make a decision on. Should we get rid of them because they don't really, not saying that they don't, we haven't seen the sales that we wanted from them, but that we also haven't seen the support.
Right.
So there's some stuff that we're thinking about, and it's just, cleaning up your house a little bit. That's all.
I've been talking to some dudes about some stuff I'm going to add, but they're like, but it's also like, I know the guys, so there's already a relationship. And it's also not like, they're all like, you don't have to buy a bunch of stuff, just a little bit. I'm like, you can like get a little bit, test and see. And if it's good, great, we'll do more. If it's not good, then whatever, Yeah. So, but I'm not going to go out and like, take out a big loan to get a bunch of crap that just might sit,
Right. And that's why we're looking maybe to shift a little bit on how we're going to do some stuff with, what do you call it? We're seeing guitars slow.
Yeah.
But like I said, accessories and pedals and stuff like that are still going. So we may do a little bit of a shift with that and go, hey, well, let's lighten up on this side a bit. Let's make sure we have inventory. Let's make sure we still have selection, but let's maybe not go as deep, and let's go, let's bring this down a little bit here and bring this up a little bit here. So we're still whole. We're just shifting things a little bit more until things kind of level off, and we'll go from there. So what's going on here? What's going on? Private dancing, girls. Ryan, what kind of operation you running here, man?
It's not me.
Can you get rid of it?
Yeah, I can block user. It's crazy. I put up a video and there'll be I'm trying to block that. I won't do it. It says was banned. Error occurred.
Uh-oh. Well, we should probably get wrapping up here soon too, because I'm about to fall asleep.
It's been 3 hours, so
I think if we got people still hanging around, good.
Yeah, there's still happy. 13 people.
How many?
13.
Wow.
Hanging out, watch. Let me go back to this over her. Let me get back into the YouTube thing, because I'm just looking at the StreamYard thing. Let me go to the YouTube actual. Because I can.
Oh, it looks like you did block them. I see it blocked on here.
Yeah. Let me show the chat. Oh yeah, message deleted by RNA. Oh yeah, it's blocked on the thing, so that's weird. But every now and then, like, I'll put up a video and start getting comments from our regulars, and always was like, "Check my webcam here."
Oh,
like,
dude, every day on Instagram.
Yeah.
We promote it on blah blah blah. Promote this, but do you want sexy blah blah blah? And we're like, oh my god, it's like, it's relentless.
Crazy.
As soon as you post something up, especially on Instagram, as soon as you post something up, I'm blocking.
Oh yeah,
I'm blocking at least 4 or 5 comments.
Yeah, I'll post stuff about like Texas music or hashtag or whatever, and they're like, "Hey, promote it on blah blah blah." I'm like, no, guys, y'all don't even. This is like dumb. spam emails. So
I get so much crap. It's awful. But
my email alone is every time I wake up, I got piles of emails. I'm like, it's not even like, I mean, not crazy stuff, but just like, hey, shop at Walmart. Hey, Target. Hey, ammo.com. Hey.
Dude, my business one, I've cleared out a lot of stuff and blocked because I'm like, I ain't got time for this shit. I got enough emails on business I got to worry about, let alone, how are you going to save solar power? Colorado Solar Power wants the No, man, I don't need that. Although it sounds enticing, but I don't need solar power right now. Or, I just don't need it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I get a lot of overseas stuff too. Hello, dear. Would you like to buy 42-inch guitar? And I'm
that's not even the spam folder. I go into the spam folder.
Oh, forget it. Spam folder's full.
Yeah, it's dumb. All right, man. Well, we probably got to wrap it up. It's been 3 hours. I don't normally live stream, but we can sit and chat forever anyways.
Yeah, we could be here all damn night.
Just be here doing this stuff. I got to get ready I have to play guitar for the church in the morning.
You got to play guitar for Jesus tomorrow, right?
I do in the morning. I forgot. I've got to actually do some stuff for the service too, because our pastor's out. We have a guest guy who doesn't know the routine.
Oh,
so I've got to like do some more officiating between stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to remember what to do. So I'll figure it out in the morning. It's not that complicated.
I got a day off tomorrow, so I don't know what I'm doing, but it's gonna involve playing guitar. I know that.
I'll play guitar in the morning, and actually probably after church we'll be editing the Ask RNA that I shot today. So tomorrow's going to be editing, and then probably uploading Ask RNA, which you'll get a kick out of.
We're always working. There's always something. I gotta get a whole Black Friday thing together tomorrow. So now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, I probably got to do it tomorrow because Monday is just going to be a disaster. So yeah, we're always working. But like we said earlier, 2 hours ago, rather be doing that for us than for somebody else.
Yeah, there's always something to do. Thank you guys, all y'all, for hanging out. I appreciate y'all. This will be a podcast somewhere as soon as I find out how to rip the audio and I go and put it in Logic and tweak it and all that sort of stuff. First official RNA Music podcast, talking to friends about music. So I told Ike he was going to be the first, and so we made it happen. So thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Entertaining or something for everybody, for whoever listens to this down the line.
I hope they found it educational for sure. It's we've definitely learned a lot in the last however many years.
8, 9 now.
Yeah.
Like
well, I've been since 2010, so I mean, coming up on 13 years for me of doing this.
We're gonna hit officially Flipside's 2014, so we're probably 9 years. Yeah,
almost at a decade. I count 09 because I placed my first orders with companies for the store in 09.
See, if I went earlier than that, if I brought it back to prior to Flipside, we probably would get it.
I think you could do that. I think that would be fair game.
Because we weren't Flipside yet. We were just some other bullshit.
Ike's House of Jams.
Yeah.
Ike's House of Rock and Cookies.
Man.
No free cookies from
come to the dark side. We have cookies.
We got cookies.
Hey, we're still here though.
We got sub sandwiches.
We're still here though.
We are still here. That is for sure, man. All right. Well, always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for hanging out and chatting for so long. And we'll see all y'all on the next video. Until then, keep the music alive.
I'll see you guys on the flip side.
Yeah. Don't forget it. We'll see y'all then. Man, appreciate all y'all. Leave a comment down in the replay if you want to. Secret hashtag of the day. How about that? I'll let Ike come up with one with a comment section.
Swear word?
No.
Secret hashtag of the day is squirrel.
Hashtag something. Hashtag Dave.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Hashtag Dave. Type that in the comment section and we'll know you watched this entire 3 hour and 14 minute and 5 second.
Yeah, all the way to the end.
All the way to bed. There's going to be a couple of legends who hung out. Probably Metalhead Hippie, Midnight Wind, P-Draw, Jeffrey, and Deja Voodoo. All right. We'll see you guys on the flip side.
Later.
So excited. Nice.